You gotta make one.
Tick
Gotta get
tock.
an intro music, man.
Tick tock. Time to rock. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon to all the cows around the world. We choose you, cows, especially the red ones. So, AP, have you heard about this red heifer
Yo,
issue?
I haven't heard about no heifer. I haven't heard about no heifer. Uh,
Did you get requests to talk about it? I got several, but I'm a Christian, so I don't know if people are asking atheists what they think about it.
yeah, no, people asked me too. People asked me, the OG AP, from the hood, about what I think about the red heifer, and I said I don't know about no red heifer, and I looked a little bit into it, but I decided just to ignore much of it because it looks like it is a what do you say, what do you Americans say? Yeah, nothing burger. Yeah, that's what you Americans say. That's what it is
We
basically.
have you have a few different perspectives as far as people. So you've got one that what you just said. It's a nothing burger. Then you have people who are viewing it as like a like a conspiracy issue, right? Like there's a conspiracy to take over the Temple Mountain. It's about to go. It's about to be set off, right? And then you have people who are really interested in end times prophecies, but that there are Jews and Christians and Muslims who are interested in end times stuff, and they're all looking at it from different angles. They're all looking at it from different angles. So as we're going to see, the I don't even know what's it because like most Jews aren't interested in this at all. But there's a group.
Mm.
There's a group, the Orthodox, and I don't even know if it's like a particular group of the Orthodox or if it's just Orthodox in general. Because I know there are Orthodox Jews who don't believe in rebuilding the temple until the Messiah comes. And so there's no push for them to go and like seize the Temple Mount or anything like that. They're like, when the Messiah comes, he's going to deal with it. But there are others who believe that they are supposed to do these things to prepare the way for the Messiah. So this is connected to end times issues for lots of Jews, lots of Christians believe that, well, Jerusalem's going to be front and center for end times issues and so on. So they can look at these as fulfilling. This is leading to the fulfillment of end times prophecies, and then Muslims, of course, are claiming that the coming Jewish Messiah is going to be the Dajjal. Is the Dajjal. And so we're going to watch a video by an Orthodox Jew who's talking about this. He's going to break down the entire situation. Then we're going to be looking. I just picked a Christian video at random that was when I was scrolling through Twitter. There are tons and tons and tons of videos being posted about this and just random tweets and so on from Christians. And we're going to look at Ali Dawa. Ali Dawa's insightful response.
So, but I've seen that there was this crazy viral going thing of a woman from Daily Wire, I guess, in Israel, just posting a photo with these red cows, and then the neo Nazis were going crazy about it and saying, "Look at this! They're openly now provoking and stuff." And it's like it's nothing because she's just posting a photo with them, and they are considered valuable. They are considered spiritually and culturally considered very valuable, which is why they are held in high regard.
Even
Um,
just price wise, they're so rare. The guy who sold 5 of them to the Jewish group that's about to sacrifice one of them, apparently, they were $100,000 each. So that's $500,000 for 5 cows. So they'd be valuable. I'd want AP if we were over there when we were in Israel. If we were over there, and we passed by these red cows. Would we or would we have not have gotten some selfies with these red cows?
Definitely.
I would have definitely, and then it would have been, oh, look, we would have been like, oh, cool, these are the red cows here. Check this out. Click. And then, oh, you see, David and AP.
Look at the Christian, supposed Christian apologist David Wood is now publicly declaring that he is personally the Antichrist.
it would be something like that. um, All right. So a couple super chats real quick. First, before we actually get into the videos, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to read 2 Bible passages so people get their bearings as far as the Old Testament position on this and the New Testament position on this. And AP, you're going to gain some wisdom about Judaism. You're going to gain some wisdom.
Let me quickly regurgitate what I know. So all I know about it is that it is a prophecy. It is a narrative that is mentioned in the Bible in Numbers, I believe, and somewhere else. I'm not exactly sure, but yes, it is mentioned in the Torah, and it is something that was apparently meant to be practiced, where a spotless, perfect red heifer was supposed to be found and sacrificed. For various purposes. I don't exactly know the purposes, so you can enlighten me on that.
You're about to find the purposes.
And there are some eschatological ideas about it, that a red heifer is supposed to be expected, a perfect one is supposed to be expected, but it's such a rarity, it's such an almost impossibility that they are expecting it, and once they find it, once it appears, it is supposed to be of great significance and herald the Messianic era or something great that is coming. And then Jewish and Christian eschatological perspectives have different views on it. And in Christianity, I believe there are also metaphorical interpretations of the red heifer. That's all I know about it. Okay.
Yeah. So yes. So Christians interpret these a lot of the Old Testament rituals as being fulfilled in Christ, and so we are going to look at the book of Hebrews actually refers to this ritual as well, and compares it with Christ. So we're going to take a look at that. So we're going to look at 2 Bible passages, ladies and gentlemen, and then we are going to go through a video by an Orthodox Jew on this issue. I think. Yeah, a Christian, and Ali Dawa, our favorite Muslim da'i. Although, no, I can't really say that. Gosh, we love Daniel Hakikachu. Gotta love Muhammad Hijab and Sheikh Uthman. I don't know. It's a 4-way tie for my favorite Dawa guys.
I would go for Shaky Booty, but yeah.
Shaky Booty, yeah, he's in a class all of his own, though, so I didn't even include him.
That's true.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, take a couple super chats here real quick, and then we're going to jump into Numbers 19. Probably just read the entire passage so everyone knows what we're talking about here ahead of time. So Sarah says, the cow arrives exactly when it's supposed to. Jewish. AP, always late, every single day. Atheists, draw your own conclusions. That's funny.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
D Wood, have you seen Mike Winger's video exposing Benny Boy Hinn? He even called him a scumbag. Does that upgrade him from being the ultimate nerd? No. Urkel could call someone a scumbag all day long. He's still a nerd. And when you have the white Urkel, the white Christian Urkel, aka Mike Winger, there's nothing, and you know, it's not something you can change. Some people are just born extreme nerds. There's nothing they can do about it. And you could say, well, let's not blame him, but we blame him for his actions and his terrible videos.
Are you aware that I know that you and Jake Shields have had a back and forth, as you told me, but are you aware that Jake Shields attacked Tommy Robinson on Twitter and called him a pathetic cuck and a traitor to his nation?
What? Jake Shields?
Yeah, Jake Shields called Tommy Robinson that and said all his funding comes from Israel and he supports the Jews killing citizens of his own country and stuff like that. I missed that completely. Somebody just sent me that. The wild things are going on.
Dude has gone off the deep end, and he messaged me and mouthed off and said, I'm going up to do videos with Nick Fuentes. So he's going up to do videos. So he's entering like actual Nazi realm. But he said, I'm going up to do videos with Nick Fuentes, Nick Fritos. So why don't you join me? Let's see what happens. And I think I'm going to accept and say, hey, and then I'll tell him you need to come along, because he agreed to have a debate with you, and then he backed out and said he's only doing that if he's getting paid. So if he only travels to get paid, and so if he's traveling to do shows with Nick Fuentes, he must be getting paid, unless he's doing it out of the Nazi love of his heart. I don't know. But I figured that'd be a perfect opportunity. Since he invited me, I'll say fine. AP can come up, then you guys can do the one-on-one debate that you agreed to that he ran from, and then we
Yes.
can all have a big discussion about
Yes, sir.
Israel and the Talmud and everything else that our good friend Nick Fuentes
Yes.
and his new muscle Jake Shields
Because
want to
the
talk
guy
about.
really went from I don't have anything against Jews within months to the Jews
The
are out to
Jews, the
sacrifice your
Jews,
children.
the Jews hate blood.
What an imbecile.
Yep. And by the way, that's I don't know how much of that like was already his view, but he just feels it's more acceptable to say it versus people who start sending out messages. They react to what people are reacting to. In other words, as people cheer for you, if you pick up on, whether it's conscious or unconscious, you pick up on what people are really cheering you for. And so if the more and more hostile you are towards Jews, the more you get praised for it by the crowd you have. It just sends you deeper and deeper into that region. So anyway, I'll let him know that we accept his offer, although he's going to have to pay us. Why is D Wood on the left when he is right? That is a question. Because that doesn't matter. Whether I'm on the left or the right, I'm right. Can always count on Dawood Wudu to read super chats. David Wudu, that would be funny.
That's funny.
What are your opinions on the moon rusting? I didn't know the moon's rusting. I don't know.
Yeah,
So
it was kind of it has been a little bit damaged since Muhammad split it into two, and then it has been rusting.
It's been getting rusty.
Yep.
So there's a super cool apocalyptic Jew cow. So there's a super cool apocalyptic Jew cow in Israel, and you two went there and didn't even interview it? Disliked, unfollowed, and unsubscribed. Yeah.
Good point. Good point.
I have
Fair
to confess,
point.
did we even know about the red heifer thing while we were over there? I mean, I knew about the red heifer from the Old Testament. I didn't know that there was this big red heifer controversy going on.
I didn't know. I had no idea. Because the only people talking about it just like so greatly and dramatically that I saw were the anti-Semitic crowd on Twitter. So I didn't pay much attention to it.
Yeah, lots of people, Christians and Muslims reacting to this. So, yep, we're going to check it out, ladies and gentlemen. Miss B says, South Park had a hilarious episode about this. I just watched a clip from that. I thought about using it, but since AP's video was copyrighted yesterday for actually shut down in the middle of our live stream, then I decided against using an episode of a TV show and playing a clip of it. But yeah, you can find those clips. Did you see Ali Dawah versus God Logic? It was about if Jesus is a Muslim. Ali Dawah had a discussion with God Logic? That's interesting. I would be interested in checking that out. Why do y'all keep saying effers, potty mouths? I don't say that. What are you talking about? David, why don't you debate Jews on the Messiah? Because there are, how do I put this? There are people, debates with Jews on the identity of the Messiah usually goes beyond what most apologists are familiar with in terms of fulfilled prophecy. So if you ask like me about prophecy, Old Testament prophecies about Jesus, I'm going to go to like Isaiah 53 and so on. Those are very important passages. An actual like Messianic Jew debating a Jewish rabbi, and you can see this. You can watch Michael Brown debate Rabbi Shmuley on whether Jesus is the Messiah, and you can actually look. They go into a lot more detail, a lot more depth, and lots of times the discussions they'll actually go to. If you see a discussion between a Messianic Jew and a rabbi, they'll start going into like commentaries and to the Mishnah and so on. They'll be going into a lot more as they go a lot deeper. And it's just my view. There are probably people that are way better at that than I am, right? So yeah, I think people like Michael Brown and so on are better at dealing with that. I wouldn't even be terribly familiar with most of the objections. Holy cow, the stakes are really high with this red heifer. Okay, we're going to do puns? We're going to be getting into puns now? Holy cow, the stakes are really high? All I can say with this prophecy about the red heifer is, where's the beef? I'm not moved by this evidence at all.
What are people beefing about?
Seems utterly silly. We can't just buy into this. There's too much at stake. Anyway, what is your opinion on Europa: The Last Battle? Is that a video game question? Is that a video game? Or is that some end times thing? Yeah, I don't know.
I think it is actually a documentary that is. I might want to look that up, but I think that is. I think that is some conspiracy theorist thing.
Oh yeah. Okay. Dawa clown celebrating over Israel. Mickey D's, you see. Yeah, I saw something about McDonald's opening up new places in Israel, and then people flipping out about it. The moon is split like Muhammad's personalities. The moon is split like Muhammad's personalities. What's your beef with Mike Winger? Apologies if you've gone over this already and don't feel like rehashing. People are always recommending him to me. Well, Grace, he happens to be the worst person in the world. That's all that needs to be said.
Oh yeah, the question. So the thing mentioned is it is a neo-Nazi conspiracy theorist documentary, which says that Hitler.
I thought you were talking about Mike Winger for a second, and then you were talking about that thing before.
Yeah, the documentary is basically that the Jews are responsible for the World War, and Hitler was just trying to protect Germans.
Yeah,
it's trash for stupid people.
Yeah, but Grace, Mike Winger is the biggest nerd on the planet. Snight says they've been talking about the red cow for years. It's finally official that it's good for the third temple. Yeah, so there've been these issues with the red heifer and looking for the red heifer, and I remember this back in the 90s and so on. But yeah, so now they have 5 of them. They're apparently going to pick the best one, 5 or 10 or what I think 5. They're going to pick the best one, and I've seen that they're going to sacrifice one. Here's the thing. I've seen that they're going to sacrifice this red heifer. In case anyone doesn't know, a heifer is a female cow that has not had a calf yet, hasn't had a baby cow yet. So that's a heifer. So, and extremely rare is red, and it's not red. It's like a brownish red. And but they need one for certain temple rituals. But they don't have a temple, so the idea is if they're getting ready with the red heifers, then they're preparing for the temple. But if they're preparing for the temple, how's that going to work, right? Because there's a big giant dome right there. Yeah. And let's see, fresh from Fresh and Fit. Oh, that's someone's name? I just thought they were talking about their Fresh and Fit. So it's like one of their names Fresh and the other one's Fit. Like
they call each other Fresh and Fit.
Do
that's
they?
actually
What's up, Fresh? Hey, Fit. Seriously, that makes it stupider.
It's very dumb. I know. It's like, I don't know. Maybe they came up with that when they were like 12 years old or so, and they kept it.
Yeah. So Fresh from Fresh and Fit told Mohammed Hijab to debate Sam Shamoon, and he dodged the debates by saying, "I already debated his friend David Wood." Hashtag run much. Yeah, that's kind of a. Hijab pulled basically a Zakir Naik. Zakir Naik came out of nowhere. No one knew what his arguments were going to be. No one knew what his debate tactics were, and so on. And then once he'd done a couple debates, then he wouldn't debate anymore because it wouldn't work anymore. So yeah, I'm not sure you're going to be seeing Mohammed Hijab debating any actual Christian apologists who are familiar with his tactics at any point in the future. He might debate people who have no clue who he is. But yeah, that's my view. He's pulled a Zakir Naik, ladies and gentlemen. All right, let's go ahead. We got some more super chats, but let's go ahead and jump into. We'll just read this. We'll read this passage. Let me pull it up here. We'll read this passage from Numbers 19. I think I got it here. Oh, there we go. Whoops. All right. So this is Numbers 19. The water of cleansing. The Lord said to Moses and Aaron. Yeah, we will go ahead and read it. It's not a terribly long chapter. The Lord said to Moses and Aaron, this is a requirement of the law that the Lord has commanded. Tell the Israelites to bring you a red heifer without defect or blemish, and that has never been under a yoke. Give it to Eleazar the priest. It is to be taken outside the camp and slaughtered in his presence. Then Eleazar the priest is to take some of its blood on his finger and sprinkle it 7 times toward the front of the tent of meeting. While he watches, the heifer is to be burned, its hide, flesh, blood, and intestines. The priest is to take some cedar wood, hyssop, and scarlet wool and throw them onto the burning heifer. After that, the priest must wash his clothes and bathe himself with water. He may then come into the camp, but he will be ceremonially unclean till evening. The man who burns it must also wash his clothes and bathe with water, and he too will be unclean till evening. A man who is clean shall gather up the ashes of the heifer and put them in a ceremonially clean place outside the camp. So you take the ashes, you put them outside the camp. They are to be kept by the Israelite community for use in the water of cleansing. Now, it is purification from sin. Now notice, you don't need a lot of these heifers, because you burn one and then you take the ashes and you put those ashes outside the camp, and you're going to take a little bit of those ashes to make the water of cleansing. So one of these things will last generations. They are to be kept by the Israelite community for use in the water of cleansing. It is purification. It is for purification from sin. The man who gathers up the ashes of the heifer must also wash his clothes, and he too will be unclean till evening. This will be a lasting ordinance both for the Israelites and for foreigners residing among them. Whoever touches a human corpse, so here you get to the uses, and AP, this is going to be for you. Whoever touches a human corpse will be unclean for 7 days. AP, pay attention to this. Whoever touches a human corpse will be unclean for 7 days. I want you to pay attention to this, AP, because you've noticed that Jews love life. You've said it repeatedly. You've got the jihadis, yes. They say, "Oh, we love death, we love death." And you've got the Jews loving life. It's always, even after tragedies, they're playing music and dancing and so on. It's just interesting. You kind of see it built into the system that they are to recoil from death as something, as something unclean. You're to recoil from it. You need to be purified from even being in the presence of death. Whoever touches a human corpse will be unclean for 7 days.
The other reason why this is very relevant to me is that if touching a human corpse is bad, then how am I supposed to eat?
Yeah. Well, that was disgusting. Jeffrey Dahmer here, ladies and gentlemen. They must purify themselves with the water on the 3rd day and on the 7th day. Then they will be clean. But if they do not purify themselves on the 3rd and 7th days, they will not be clean. If they fail to purify themselves after touching a human corpse, they defile the Lord's tabernacle. They must be cut off from Israel. Because the water of cleansing has not been sprinkled on them, they are unclean. Their uncleanness remains on them. This is the law that applies when a person dies in a tent. Anyone who enters the tent and anyone who is in it will be unclean for 7 days. And every open container without a lid fastened on it will be unclean. Anyone out in the open who touches someone who has been killed with a sword, or someone who has died a natural death, or anyone who touches a human bone or a grave will be unclean for 7 days. For the unclean person, put some ashes from the burned purification offering into a jar and pour fresh water over him. Then a man who is ceremonially clean is to take some hyssop, dip it in the water, and sprinkle the tent and all the furnishings and the people who were there. He must also sprinkle anyone who has touched a human bone or a grave, or anyone who has been killed, or anyone who has died a natural death. The man who is clean is to sprinkle those who are unclean on the 3rd and 7th days, and on the 7th day he is to purify them. Those who are being cleansed must wash their clothes must wash their clothes and bathe with water, and that evening they will be clean. But if those who are unclean do not purify themselves, they must be cut off from the community because they have defiled the sanctuary of the Lord. The water of cleansing has not been sprinkled on them, and they are unclean. This is a lasting ordinance for them.
You know what I always think when I read the Bible? I wonder how this would be if this was the Quran. It would just be like the sentences would not be like this. It would just be, and they shall not wash their hands after this deed. And indeed, Allah is the most merciful, most great, and He sees what they do, and He will punish them. And with that, tell these and these people to do this. It would be like all over the place. That's kind of funny.
Well, we're actually going to see Ali Dawah quoting the Quran about this. Oh, isn't it amazing? How could them have known that? Yeah, you can see it. You're going to see it. And so the ending here, the man who sprinkles the water of cleansing must also wash his clothes, and anyone who touches the water of cleansing will be unclean till evening. Anything that an unclean person touches becomes unclean, and anyone who touches it becomes unclean till evening. All right, now you understand. Now you understand the Bible, AP.
I do indeed.
You got all that?
Yep.
All
That's. I feel like a cowboy. Yeah.
Hey, yeah. I don't know. Has the Muslim cowboy been commenting on this? He could have some like deep insights because he's from Texas. Matter of fact, he should use that. Now, guys, you may have been hearing about this red heifer, but me, I'm the Muslim cowboy. So if anyone's qualified to speak on this, it's me. Something like that.
So people are really milking this whole thing to beef with the Jews because they're cowards. And
that was an utterly double bad joke.
It was triple. Anyway.
All right, one more. We won't read all of Hebrews 9, but here's a quick Christian view on the red heifer ritual. So this is Hebrews 9, blood of Christ. But when Christ came as a high priest of the good things that are now already here, he went through the greater and more perfect tabernacle that is not made with human hands, that is to say, is not a part of this creation. He did not enter by means of the blood of goats and calves, but he entered the most holy place once for all by his own blood, thus obtaining eternal redemption. The blood of goats and bulls and the ashes of a heifer sprinkled on those who are ceremonially unclean sanctify them so that they are outwardly clean. How much more then will the blood of Christ, who through the eternal Spirit offered himself unblemished to God, cleanse our consciences from acts that lead to death so that we may serve the living God? So the Christian view, those ceremonies are ultimately fulfilled in Jesus Christ. All right, you got all that, AP?
Yes, I now know much more.
You got the biblical background?
I do. I did. I got it. I know everything now. Ask me anything.
All right, so now we're going to actually watch a video by an Orthodox, I don't know if he's a rabbi or what, but he's an Orthodox Jew. We're going to look. We're going to look at video. Take a couple more super chats here so they don't build up. Thank you both for your great work. You have opened my leather straps. We're eventually going to have an entire community that knows what all these things mean, and someone is going to walk in here and be like, what the heck?
I love the username, Müllsack TV. It means trash bag TV, German.
But there's also a trash bag there.
Yeah.
Ali Dawah sees raw beef. Yeah, the meat is red, see? Hi, D-Wood and AP. Just curious, are Jews a religious group or a race/ethnicity? That would be both. So
I can always recommend an article. I have to quickly Google it to remember where it was from. I believe it was Jewish Library or Jewish. It's called "Are Jews a Race?" And it explains it very, very well. I think it is My Jewish Learning. There's an article called "Are Jews a Race?" and it basically explains that the common notion that Jews are a race in the modern race sense is not entirely accurate. The Jews are rather a tribe that come together by a shared history and religious belief and culture and all that. It is complex, but people like to also just call it a tribe.
Yeah, so you have issues that most Jews do not focus on proselytizing other people or getting converts and so on, and yet people do convert to Judaism. And so you can have and people can convert to Judaism, and then their children are Jews, and their children are Jews, and so on. So they were not connected to the Jewish people in terms of their their ancestors. But you can have a Jew who's a Jew and an atheist, so not even following the religion. So yeah, it's a kind of a connection of factors. You could be a Jew ethnically, you can be a Jew religiously, and you could be uh, a Jew who's connected to this convert to Judaism in terms of your religious beliefs, and now you're both Jews, and yet not not be connected biologically. So anyway, yeah, it's a complex issue. Is anyone else like that? I'm trying to think of another group that's like that. I can't think of one.
Well, there are ethno-religious groups that are still in existence, like the Yazidis, for example.
No, but I
Um,
but I mean, is that a situation where you could be a Yazidi, like a convert
th-
to
that
that,
that's
and
the
so you,
thing. That's the thing. They don't accept it. They don't accept conversion into the Yazidi community. I believe. I believe it's their understanding is that they as an ethnicity they continue, and only by birth they grow. They will not allow anyone to join.
hmm.
But there were other groups that did have where conversion was possible. In Zoroastrianism, for example, there has been a disagreement on whether you can convert into it and become part of it, or whether they are all just descendants
Hmm.
from a certain line, and so on.
Talmudic Tunnel stole your joke, although I think he made it before you, and I just got to it. He said, "Neo Nazis are really milking this red cow thing." Indeed.
Indeed.
Uh,
I
let's see.
googled the article just now. My Jewish Learning: Are Jews a Race? And it ends with just this line, which is it says some Jews prefer to use terms like people or tribe. In Hebrew, the Jews refer to themselves as Am Yisrael, a term that is itself ambiguous. It can mean either nation of Israel or people of Israel, which is why it's more accurate to go with that instead of calling it a race.
Um, Christians and Muslims are both proud of the humiliation of their religion. We're proud of Jesus' crucifixion. Muslims are proud of Momo being a PDF. Draw your conclusion. We're
Yeah.
proud of that. Oh, by the way, in the Ali Dawa, he is getting really good at threatening to kill people without people being able to point it out. Right? It's like when he'll be in an interview with someone who'll say, "And you'll know what I talk about when I say we're proud of that. We're proud of that." Right? Like he's saying proud of the fact that he's going to be watching as apostates are executed and so on. But he actually does this with the Jews, and so yeah, because the trees are going to be speaking about the and it's just I mean, he's talking about the prophecy of Muhammad, when Ali Dawah and his buddies are going to be going around killing them. He's talking about it, but he's using this kind of veiled language, which I don't know if he was doing that first or Hijab was doing that first. But Hijab, when he was putting out these threats of torture and rape and all these things, and but he would he'd add some words to make it less obvious. So you couldn't actually pin him down if you wanted to.
Alhamdulillah.
But great people, great, wonderful, wonderful, amazing people become the heroes of Dawah. The son
Alhamdulillah.
of
Oh man.
the son of Hamas sacrificed a heifer on Dr. Phil.
Why did that woman even go on that show? I
I
don't even
do
get
not
it.
know. I do not
I
know.
rewatched bits of it just because I thought of clipping just her face, how she goes,
Yeah.
and just that's all she did there. She didn't
Yeah.
even. She was just getting
Yeah.
humiliated.
She should have jumped. She should have jumped in more. I mean, I'm glad she let him speak, but you have a limited amount of time. You gotta jump in more on that. You dare try from the red cow. You dare to try to sacrifice me? You'll never find me. There's a million Talmudic tunnels and just one end times cow to search for. Good luck. That's true. That would be funny if some of the conspiracy nuts in the Dawa community started putting. You see, this is why they're building the tunnels to hide the red cows. Oh, here's Muslims caught Sneeko saying I would nuke Gaza if Brett Cooper would do the splits on me. Yeah, I shared that too. And then he had to, of course, issue an apology video saying it's just a joke, guys. It's just a joke. It's just a joke. It's just, well, yeah, it's funny what you, of all the things you could have joked about, you joked about nuking Gaza.
Pretty sure everyone knew it was a joke, so he didn't have to clarify that it's a joke. It's just,
yeah. Let's say
joking about that as a Muslim.
Yeah, let's say that again. Sneeko, no one took you seriously that you would actually drop a nuclear bomb because you don't have one, right? So you'd be joking about even the possibility, right? No one took you seriously. Oh, if this girl from the Daily Wire would do a splits on me like that, then I would nuke Gaza or something like that. Yeah. No one took you seriously. Just lots of people thought that was a horribly inappropriate joke.
Yeah. Actually, you don't know. Maybe some people might have taken it seriously. You never know nowadays.
What? Oh, no. Oh, please. We have to keep Brett Cooper away from Sneeko.
Otherwise, he will drop his one nuclear weapon.
That would have been funny if Brett Cooper showed up with a nuclear bomb. She's like, "Okay, here we are. I'm going to do the splits, and you drop the bomb."
That's fine. It's like Sneeko is live, and then the door rings, and it's Brett Cooper. It's like, "Yeah, I'm here."
Uh-oh. These things are going to another level here. Rick says, I cannot calculate how many bovine jokes are being made. If they kill the cow before it's an adult, is it decalcinated? Only if you feel like it. Well, this is pretty bad.
This is good.
From Zabouncy Zaboobies. It's Zaboobas. It's Zaboobas. Camel B loosens. Camel B enema loosens the leather straps. You see what the heck is wrong with people, man? Guys, go back to AP's channel. Red Heifer prophecy. Leave my Red Heifer prophecy. Leave my mother out of this. That's right.
Oh man.
The Druze are an ethno-religious group, but you can't convert. Yeah, I know they're ethno-religious groups, but I meant something that is in specifically the situation that Jews are in, where you could be a Jew in multiple ways because there's the religious aspect and so on.
I'm going to ask ChatGPT now and see what ChatGPT says.
I chose the heifer. I will choose the heifer. If I have to choose between the 1 million regular milk cows and a red heifer, I would choose the red heifer. If we don't get a Dr. Phil wearing a cowboy hat chat member, I will be shaking. Yeehaw. Who you calling heifer? The Heavy Heart Show. And finally, D. Wood, did it occur to you that Jesus, a carpenter, took some useless wood and turned it into something useful? Yeah, but I think as far as names are concerned, I'd be inclined to think that's a coincidence, my name. All right, AP, you ready to check out this video?
Yes.
All right, so we're going to be watching a video by an Orthodox Jew who's looks like part of the group that's involved in this red heifer situation.
Yesterday, I had the honor and the privilege to be part of something that I only ever dreamed that I would have the opportunity to be a part of.
Heading out to something very exciting. You know, this week it's Shabbat Parshat Para, where we read about the red heifer, the Para Aduma. We do that because Pesach is coming up and we want to spiritually prepare purify ourselves. And since we don't have the actual para aduma to purify ourselves, so we read about it in the Torah in preparation. But
that's interesting. So he says that the things that they can't do, because you don't have the temple, you don't have a bunch of the things that you had as part of the sort of temple sacrifice system in the Old Testament. You don't have it, so that's interesting. He says when we can't do it, we read about it.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting.
the truth is that there are people who are working on making an actual para aduma, a red heifer. And today at ancient Shiloh, the place where the tabernacle was, they're having a special conference all about the red heifer, the para aduma, and
I didn't catch where he said he was, but he said where the tabernacle was. So that's not the Temple Mount. But I mean, the tabernacle was in a bunch of places. Yeah, I didn't catch I don't know the place that he's referring to. But would that be in Sinai or something? Not sure. All right.
going to be putting on display the red heifers that they have brought from Texas that are almost ready to be used. And I'm going to show you all about
Texas, you hear that? Brought from Texas. The red heifers are brought from Texas.
it.
Oh yeah, I read
Jewish
about
people,
that. I read about that part where the Texan farmer stuff was connected to that.
Yeah, I think he's a Christian too. He's like, hey, this is all got to fulfill the end times. You guys need your temple back.
Nice.
have been praying.
I just remember saying I saw somewhere that's what's rough unless you spend like a long time carefully investigating everything. I saw in a video that the guy who sold them the red heifers was a Christian who's also interested in end time stuff, but I would have to verify that by checking.
And waiting and dreaming for 2,000 years for the temple to be rebuilt in Jerusalem. And in our lifetime and in the lifetimes of our parents and grandparents, we've seen so many things take place that are moving Am Yisrael closer and closer to seeing this dream fulfilled. Of course, there's been mass return of the Jewish people to the land of Israel in the last 100 years plus. And the land of Israel has been rebuilt and the agriculture has been brought back. But the most important thing that we're all waiting for is for the temple to be rebuilt and for Mashiach to come and to complete the redemption of the people of Israel and of the whole world. And
Okay, so you getting all that, AP? So he's pointing,
Yes.
and by the way, it is interesting. So 70 AD, the Romans conquer the Jews. Jerusalem is pretty much leveled in the war and the aftermath. But the Jews are still there, and there's another uprising in the 2nd century, and that's when the Romans just kick them out. They deport them. They deport Jews to various parts of the Roman Empire. So from that time on, there's not a lot of Jews on the land of Israel. So the land is controlled by the Romans. From 70 AD on, you've got the Romans who are in control there. The Roman Empire eventually converts to Christianity. So then the land is under the control of the Byzantines, and the Muslims come and conquer the Byzantines there and take Israel. Then the Crusaders come and take it back. Then the Muslims take it back from them. Then it's part of the Ottoman Empire. The land is part of the Ottoman Empire. It's just a big giant empire. The Ottoman Empire loses in World War I. The Caliphate collapses after that. And then the land is under the control of the British. The British control the land. Then after World War II, Israel, the Jews are given a place that they actually will have control of. And that becomes Israel. And you have tons of Jews who go to Israel. So he's pointing out that, it's pretty wild. If you're talking about all the way back in the 2nd century, they're kicked out, and all of a sudden in the 20th century, then they come back in. Then you got the Jews coming back in. And he's thinking of the prophecies as far as like agriculture returning and so on. And then he says the most important things are getting the temple back and the Messiah. So this is clearly for him, as opposed to lots of secular Jews. For him, this is clearly connected to end times. They are preparing the way for the Messiah. In order to have the temple services, you need to have the red heifer. So now we've got the red heifer. We're going to sacrifice a red heifer. But I mean, think about this. This guy believes he needs a temple back. There's kind of a big building standing right there, though. So this is interesting stuff, man.
I need the temple back too.
The heck are you talking about?
What?
And I haven't seen this, from all I can tell, just by I've read a little bit about it and watched a few videos, but I've looked at it from different perspectives. I haven't seen anything indicating that the government is involved in this, or that. By the way, if anyone knows whether the government is involved with this particular thing with the red heifers, let me know. I haven't seen anything, but the vast majority, it seems to me, the vast majority of the people of Israel are not thinking about this. It's a pretty secular area. And I haven't seen anything indicating that the government is involved with this. So it looks like some particular group is focusing on this, but I don't know what kind of power or ability they would have to do anything as far as taking control of the Temple Mount. So as far as I can tell, and I don't know that this is the case because I don't know how big this is. But I don't know, unless this is connected to the government or something like that, to people with the ability to actually carry out these plans, then it would basically be like a group of, let's say, a group of Christians or something like that who are doing something to try and bring about the end times, by deliberately trying to fulfill some prophecies or something like that. But again, I do not know. So if anyone knows if this is significantly bigger than I'm aware of, because right here I see this guy and I see him at a little conference where they're talking about the cows, and there are plenty of people there, but it's not like this huge thing where like millions of people are involved. It looks like, I don't know, hundreds or something like that, as far as the people who are actually there with the at this little red heifer conference. But I don't know. So if anyone has more info on that.
Pretty sure that the government has no involvement in the whole thing, or nothing official going on. Although that there are probably certain people in government or in politics that are probably participating and advocating for a participation, but the government doesn't do it because the government is a conservative government that does not get directly involved in participation of religious activities per se. However, we can't trust what Israel officially says and doesn't say. What we have to trust is electronic intifada, Al-Dawa, and various other sources, neo-Nazis and Islamic sources that say the government is definitely involved and the government wants to destroy Al-Aqsa and all that. So according to them, the government is involved, therefore it must be true.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking when you were saying, well, it doesn't seem like the government is involved in this sort of thing. From the perspective of the Dawa guys who view everything now as a Jewish conspiracy, be like, of course they're pretending, but as soon as this red heifer is sacrificed, they're going to swoop in there. They're going to swoop in there. They're going to clear the Temple Mount, and they're going to swoop in there with construction crews and set it all off. You think that's going to happen?
Netanyahu's government would have no interest at all in taking part in this. There is a difference between his conservative government and the religious activities that take place in the whole Orthodox or ultra-Orthodox sphere. The government that is currently in power has a very, very small portion of people that are considered the religious right, that are advocating for government involvement in religious activities. But the main government body has no interest in any of this.
Yeah, so for me, it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. if you have a government that's not interested in doing any of this, and you have a population, I don't know the statistics, AP, but would you agree that the vast majority of the population of Israel is not terribly interested? They might be interested in like political ramifications if these guys are doing something, but they're not like behind, hey, we need to go and build a new temple and get this thing going again.
Half the population is secular. They don't even care.
Yeah. All right. So we'll watch a little more of this here.
The necessary prerequisites for building the temple is something called the para aduma, or in English, the red heifer. The Torah tells us that a Jewish person who's been in contact with a corpse, or in the same room with a corpse, or under the same roof with a corpse, they become ritually impure, what's called tumat met. Now, there are all kinds of ritual impurity in the Bible. Somebody who touches a dead rodent, a woman who menstruates, and so on and so forth. All of these impurities can be removed by immersing in a ritual bath called a mikvah.
All those who touch them shall be impure and shall wash their clothes, bathe in water, and remain impure until evening. That's Leviticus.
The ritual impurity, or tumah, that comes from contact with a corpse is considered the highest level of ritual impurity. And
okay, so just to recap, because I do want everyone to understand what's going on here. So there are various kinds of ritual impurity that people can have. And there are certain washings and so on. There are certain rituals to get rid of that impurity. The most severe, as far as what he's saying, is touching death, touching something that's dead. And for that, you need the red heifer, water.
Can only be removed through a very special ceremony that's delineated in the Torah called the red heifer ceremony. And what's done is they take a red cow. The red cow has to be completely and utterly free of any blemishes. It can never have had a yoke of any kind placed on its back or caused to carry any kind of load. And the cow must be completely and fully red. That is to say, there can't be any brown hairs or black hairs or white hairs.
Red cow, never carried any sort of load and never done any sort of work.
Be completely and fully red from head to tail. And the way the ceremony was done is they would take that red cow to a location outside Jerusalem from which you could see the place of the temple and into the door of the temple, all the way into the Holy of Holies. And there they would burn this red cow. They would slaughter it and then burn it together with a hyssop branch and cedar.
The cow shall be burned in his sight. Its hide, flesh, and blood shall be burned. Its tongue included, and the priest shall take cedar wood, hyssop, and crimson stuff, and throw them into the fire, consuming the cow.
Branch and special crimson wool, and they would let it burn down to ashes. Now, these ashes would be mixed together with pure spring water by a kohen, by a priest from the temple, and that would be sprinkled on the individual who is ritually impure, and this would cause that person to become ritually pure, which means that they can now enter the temple, bring sacrifices, and participate in the rituals in the temple.
And so as far as, guys, follow the reasoning here why you need the red cow, the red heifer. If you can't participate in the temple activities, if you're unclean, well, if you've never been cleansed, chances are you've come in contact with something dead at some point, and so you need to be cleansed of that before you can be involved in the temple. And so you kind of need this ahead of time. And so what are they doing? They're getting the red heifer ready. And he's already pointed out they need their temple.
Well, our tradition tells us that Moses made the first of these red heifers 3,300 years ago. And from his time till the destruction of the second temple, 8 more were made for a total of 9. And the tradition is that only at the end of days, when Mashiach comes and the temple is rebuilt, will the 10th one be prepared as a preparation or a prerequisite for the renewal of the temple service that we've all been waiting for since the destruction of the temple for 2,000 years.
Okay, let's go back and read that, because I think this is what people are talking about when they call it a prophecy, right? Because if you read Numbers, there's nothing about this being a prophecy, right? It's not, oh, and the red heifer will be burned or something like that. Nothing about this being a prophecy. So Mishnah Torah here says 9 red heifers. So this is later. This is tradition. 9 red heifers were offered from the time that they were commanded to fulfill this mitzvah until the time when the temple was destroyed a second time. The first was brought by Moses, our teacher. The second was brought by Ezra. You see, Ezra is the son of God in Islam. I mean, in Judaism. He mentions Ezra. You're laughing, but that's what I heard like 15 years ago. Whenever I would challenge a Muslim saying, "Hey, show us where Ezra is the son of God," they would say, "Look at this passage," and it would just say something about Ezra. Ezra did this. And be like, "Oh, you see?" Like, what? That's not worshiping him. Anyway, so 9 red heifers. This is where the prophecy comes in, ladies and gentlemen. So this is why I mentioned that if you have a big, giant red cow and you burn it and take the ashes, you've got a big old pile of ashes that will last a good long time. So according to this, in the history of Israel, up until the second temple was destroyed, there were only 9 of these things. 9 of these red heifers lasted the entire time. But they weren't finished. They believed that there was going to be a tenth, and that this is going to be connected to the Messiah. So let's go ahead and read this. Again, I think this is what people are referring to when they talk about this being a red heifer prophecy. 9 red heifers were offered from the time that they were commanded to fulfill this mitzvah until the time when the temple was destroyed a second time. The first was brought by Moses, our teacher. The second was brought by Ezra. 7 others were offered until the destruction of the second temple. And the 10th will be brought by the King Mashiach. May he speedily be revealed. Amen. So may it be God's will. So 9 were used in the past, and way back in the day, way before so many Jews returned to the land of Israel, it was here. They said it. There's going to be another red heifer. And that this is going to... Ooh, wait a minute. This says that the 10th will be brought by the Messiah. How are you guys getting the red... Wait, if they sacrifice the red heifer, but the 10th is brought by the Messiah, hey, what's going on here? How are you guys fulfilling? No, I just caught that. You guys see the issue here? I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Maybe they are understanding this differently, or maybe there are other issues involved. But this says the 10th is going to be brought by the Messiah.
You see?
Now I'm confused, everyone. Now I'm confused. This guy's talking about does this guy think he's the Messiah? Because he's the one. I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
No. I'm pretty sure that there are different interpretations of that.
All right.
Built, will the 10th one be prepared as a preparation or a prerequisite for the renewal of the temple service that we've all been waiting for since the destruction of the temple for 2,000 years? Well, yesterday, in the location of ancient Shiloh, the location where the tabernacle was
Shiloh,
for almost 400 years,
okay,
they had a special conference I got to take place in. And the conference was because there at ancient Shiloh, they have been raising a herd of red heifers. So the conference, the way it worked was they had a series of lecturers who taught us about the halachot, the laws of the red heifer, gave us the background of how they identified these red heifers and what.
Yeah, you see what I mean? This doesn't look, it's not like a packed out stadium or anything for this.
Yeah.
It's a conference of Orthodox Jews.
They're like 2 people.
What's wrong with you, man? There's a good number of people there. But anyway, the point is, this doesn't look like even if we assume this is a fraction of the people who are part of this part of this plan to sacrifice the red heifer and somehow restore the temple services and so on, it doesn't seem like a ton of people, and it doesn't seem like enough people to actually carry this out if they were going to, let's say, storm the place or something like that. I just wanted to look up exactly where they are. Oh, dang it, it's not even on the map. All right.
They've been doing to raise them and all the precautions and the care that they've taken to raise them. And basically, these red heifers were identified in Texas. And several years ago, they were brought to Israel. And in the last few months, they brought them to ancient Shiloh, where they've been caring for them and pampering them and keeping track of which ones are still valid for the use in the ceremony. So after the lecture...
That's funny, pampering them. Feeding them ice cream.
and all the explanations, they took us out to the location.
I wonder what they're going to do with the others that they don't use. I guess they'll preserve those for the for future to, have a line of red heifers. Because I was thinking, why don't you eat the rest? I don't know, but yeah, they might want to keep those.
And we got to see the red heifers for ourselves. And you can see here that this is a herd of cows. They're a special red Angus cow that they brought from Texas. And when we think of red heifer, you might think of something that's like, bright red, like a red crayon or something like that. But of course, there's no such color in cows in nature.
I was
and
expecting some ginger, like an Irish-looking cow or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that would actually be funny because he pointed out, and when you're thinking of red, I'm thinking like the red on the screen here, and that would look really weird on a cow, but it would be super cool. And then you're pointing out, you're thinking of like a ginger, like a redhead.
Yeah.
Like a Ronald McDonald cow.
Yes.
Yeah, when they're just kind of reddish brown. But
I was
apparently,
thinking of like Ron Weasley from Harry Potter or something like that.
yeah, or Opie Taylor, or Ralph Mouth from Happy Days, something like that. Yeah, ginger color would be more obviously red. It's kind of reddish brown. I don't know.
Yeah, they look very much brown to me. I don't know.
But it actually makes sense because when I first read the Bible, and I was like, a red cow. What? We're gonna get a red cow. But yeah, if they're talking about reddish brown, all right, we'll let you slide on that one.
When it means red, it means like a red earth kind of color. Actually, the word Adom in Hebrew, or Aduma, the feminine version is Aduma para, Aduma, the red heifer, is etymologically related to the word for earth, which is Adama. Adama is earth, Aduma is red. So clearly...
You catching this? This is connected to the word for Adam.
Sounds
when it says red heifer, it means it's a shade of earth color, a reddish earth color. And you can see that these cows indeed are this deep reddish red earth color. And so we got to see them, we got to photograph them, we got to take our pictures together with them. And
no one told us one word because we'd have been there.
See, Tim Chapman here in the chat made a good point and said, why don't they go for something more rare, like a blue cow? See, that's a good point. This is a good point, and I agree with that. Or a purple cow, like Milka chocolate bars. Americans might not know because they don't know what Milka actually is. But that would be a better choice. So I would suggest just going back to the Bible and rewriting that part.
As dumb as what you just said was, it does draw attention to it, to something as far as the colors of animals. There are, I don't know exactly what they're called, but there are blue-furred pit bulls that I've seen. They're pretty rare because I've only seen I think 2 of them I'm talking about up in West Virginia where every other person had a pit bull. There were people who had blue, but it wasn't like bright. It wasn't blue like this cup. It just has like a blue tint to it. So I guess that's what they mean with the reddish. So you could actually maybe have a blue cow or just have be a little bit bluish gray type deal.
This to me was a once in a lifetime experience. It's something, like I said, that I never could have imagined that I would have the merit and the honor to participate in. And to me, this is just another sign that we're getting closer than ever to the final redemption, to the days of Mashiach.
But by the way, because I'm thinking, dude, you saw some cows. Like, you're like, I never thought I'd have this honor. But again, from his perspective, you had this line of just 9 of these things back in the day, and this was throughout Jewish history up until the Second Temple was destroyed. And then you have this period of almost 2,000 years, and all of a sudden you're getting your red heifer back. They're about to do the sacrifice of the 10th red heifer. It's like, this would be pretty big. This would be pretty big for you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So you shouldn't be sitting there, AP, going, oh, dumb people. Why can't everyone be smart like me? The atheist so smart. Everyone else dumb. This would be a big deal for this guy.
No, I'm serious. There are some people who are not aware of this, but Americans actually don't know what a Milka bar is because it doesn't really exist here.
I don't know what that is either.
You see, David doesn't know what Milka is. People around the world who are not American are like, what? Is this a joke? Because it's the best chocolate out there. Okay, one of the best mainstream chocolates. But yeah, so Red Cow's prophecy. I don't know if this is, with all due respect to religious beliefs, I'm not entirely sure if I can on the surface, without having further evidence for that, believe that this is such a great anomaly that that it is only reappearing now. I don't know, and I'm not sure if I can. If I don't know enough about the occurrence of red cows, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, you don't know. That's the point. But I think it was I think it was Michelle Moffat here a second ago posted they actually have ginger cows in Scotland. And I looked it up. Yeah, they're called Highland cows, and they look redder than those red cows. I don't know why they wouldn't use those ginger cows from Scotland. They look redder. Huh. They're more red. So, Michelle, do yourself a favor. Go buy one of those red cows and then tell these guys, hey, I got an even redder cow than those red cows. Because there are some redder cows. You looking up ginger cows right now, AP?
Yeah.
Look up ginger cows, Highland cows, or something like this. Those things are redder. Then they're cooler. They have flowing red locks of hair. They have like long hair, like covering their eyes. So they look like some cool guy from a band. I don't know. Let me see here. Go through a couple super chats. Bad terminologies confuse and can twist perception. Also, there are only 4 races of humans, and ethnos and a race are not the same thing. Are you way back on that other issue we were talking about?
Probably.
White Lily says, these people keep talking about red heifers. What the heck do they want from me? I'm never dyeing my hair red again. So annoying. Oi. Oh, hey, guys. What's going to happen to the red heifers after they're sacrificed? I'm like totally down for a kosher cookout at the third temple. No, you're not eating the red heifer. It burns down until it's just ashes. That is not, you had other sacrifices where you'd actually eat some of it. You're not eating any of that red heifer. If it's the end of times for one religion, will it affect the people of other faiths? Animal sacrifice in Hinduism, too, requires it to be without any defect. The sacrificed animal is supposedly set free from cycle of rebirth. As far as end times, yes, these things can be connected, as we'll see from people like Ali Dawah. The Muslims are interpreting this as the Jews are going to bring about their Messiah, who's going to be the Islamic Dajjal, their version of the Antichrist.
Alhamdulillah.
And you have other people who believe that the Islamic, depending on which beliefs you go with, the Mahdi or the second coming of Christ or whoever it may be, is going to be the Antichrist of other positions and so on. So anyway, it's interesting stuff. But yes, so here's the thing. even if you're not thinking of this in terms of like divine intervention into the world, even if you're a total atheist, you can find this very interesting that this is the sort of thing. If it's a small group and they're not actually capable of taking the Temple Mount or something like that, then this isn't the sort of thing that would have like catastrophic global consequences. If the group became big enough to where they actually seize the Temple Mount, destroy the Dome of the Rock, and start rebuilding the temple, yeah, then all of a sudden you might have some armies surrounding Jerusalem and stuff. And the point is that could be affecting everyone.
So here's the thing. As I see, red heifers are in and of itself not necessarily that uncommon, not that rare. So they can be found here and there around the world. However, due to the requirements for this specific red heifer, this it becomes so difficult and becomes so special. And those would be the fact that it should be entirely red and should not have more than 1 or 2 non-red hairs, no blemishes or defects, never worked, never bred, and past the age of 3 years. But I guess you could argue that if you specifically breed these cows, you could probably observe something like that to come into existence. I don't know, at any point, anywhere,
Wait, you're saying
any point in the world.
you're saying you could deliberately breed them like breeding dogs and so on. So you take the
not deliberately.
You take the reddest ones. You take the reddest. No, I'm saying you could. If you had some that had a little bit of brown in them, you wanted to make the pure red ones, you just take the most red ones and keep breeding those together over a couple generations, and then you got
It's
the really
possible,
really
yeah,
red ones.
yeah. And you could argue that that some red heifer here or there meet this requirement. But yeah, so red heifers are not that extremely rare. And with the focus on a perfect red heifer, not sure. Maybe you can or cannot make it happen. I don't know.
I've upgraded from cultural Christian to Lutheran. That's good. Now we just need Richard Dawkins to upgrade.
Beast.
People are confused and ignorant about the difference between a nation and ethnos. I'm in Hebrew is actually ethnos. Nation would be ummah or goy. The only thing we're talking about is there's a sense in which the people who, like we think of as Jews, are descendants of Jacob, right? So Jacob had the 12 tribes and so on, and then things happen. And so there's a sense in which we're thinking of them as the descendants of that. And yet there are people who convert to Judaism over time or so. Anyway, the point is it's a complicated issue. That was kind of the takeaway. It's a more complicated issue than it is for other groups. All right, a little more of this.
Recently, CBS News released a clip, I'll link it here in the description of the video, where they showed how Hamas launched the attack against Israel in part because they're concerned that the Jews plan to rebuild the temple.
But one confounding yet eye-opening motive.
Oh yeah, did you remember this?
They have been saying that forever. That's how they try to rile up the Palestinians, Hamas, and other organizations.
Yeah, but they got these red heifers a while back, and then the Hamas spokesman he entered, and all the other things about what the Jews have done, and what Israel has done, and why we have to do this, and why we're attacking it was, and they got the red heifer, which means they're about to take over the Dome of the Rock and build a temple. So that was actually on their list of grievances there.
Has escaped the headlines. In a recent speech, a Hamas spokesman blamed the Jews for bringing red cows to the Holy Land.
So that was connected to the October 7th attack.
Cows he's talking about at a secure, undisclosed location are these.
And rebuilding the temple.
Wait, did you catch that? They have to keep these cows at an undisclosed location to keep jihadis from going and trying to kill them all. Well, guys, hey, jihadis, if you're planning on doing anything, keep in mind, you do not need to kill those cows. You can just go Sit on them. You just go sit on them, and then it will be considered as having carried a load on them, and then they wouldn't count anymore. So the point is, you do not need to harm those cows if you're planning on anything.
Person in their eyes is a threat to the Dome of the Rock. And Hamas actually pointed out that the Jews are preparing red heifers in order to build the temple. And this is something that they're very afraid of. And to me, when our worst enemies are afraid of something that we're doing, that's a sign that we're doing the right thing. Because these are the people who are on the side of evil. And good is opposite of the side of evil.
What's up?
I don't know how to word this, but that can be a faulty and dangerous way of thinking sometimes.
Yeah, it can't. There's something right about it, namely that if evil people are flipping out over what you're doing, that could be something good. But you could be doing something that just if you base your actions on that, there's all sorts of things you could do to make people flip out.
Yeah.
Because as he was speaking, he's going, yeah, and there are lots of people who are worried about that we're gonna build a temple, and so it's like, that's obviously your plan. You do want to do that. So yeah, they are freaked out about that. Interesting stuff.
Man.
If this is something that bothers them so much, to me, it's a sign that this is something we must be involved in. In fact, the very conference I participated in, the morning prior to the conference, which took place in the afternoon and the evening, Hezbollah in Lebanon wrote about this conference on their Telegram channel, basically saying, look at what the Jews are planning to do. So if our enemies are up in arms, that means we're on the right track. And this week, in all the synagogues around the world, all Jews will read what's called Parashat Para, the portion of the Torah that speaks about the Para Aduma. This is something that's been instituted by our rabbis since the temple was destroyed, so that we don't forget this mitzvah of the Para Aduma, and especially in the weeks leading up to Passover, Pesach, when every Jewish male would ascend to the temple and would bring his Paschal lamb for him and his family and his group. So when we're...
So here's the thing, right? So he is talking about the aspirations toward restoring the faith and rebuilding the temple. There are two sides that I have seen very much go crazy about the red heifer and get very angry and attack Jews. One side is the Islamists or Muslims or Hamas and other groups, because to them this means destroying Al-Aqsa and building the temple. And then there is the other side, who are those neo-Nazis who try to milk Christianity by saying that this is a Jewish attempt at bringing about the Antichrist and the end times and stuff like that. This is what the neo-Nazi Nick Fuentes type people are pushing. So the two people that are angry about this thing seem to come from two different angles and are both angry about the situation. And the Jewish perspective, the religious Jewish perspective, is just, all we want to do is to bring about what is bound to happen, which is that our temple will be reestablished. That's what I gather from all that is happening here.
It is interesting with the different ways you could come at this issue, because you could be an Orthodox Jew and you just want your temple back, right? You want your temple back and not this Dome of the Rock there, right? So you could just say, hey, we want our temple. We've got our place. How are we the only people who don't have a temple, right? I mean, the Muslims, you've got multiple places. You've got multiple centers of worship. Christians have tons and tons and tons of centers of worship. Hindus have tons of temples. Can we just have our one temple here? Can we just have that one spot? So you could look at it like that. But with this guy, it's clearly like bringing about the end times. So it's different. It's a different thing. It's not, hey, we want our temple back. It's we want to bring about the end times and the judgment of the Messiah upon the world. And so, and then of course you have the Muslims. This is going to bring about the Dajjal and so on. So there's just, you can have it from you could look at this from a completely, as an outsider, you can look at this and just say, hey, Jews want a place to worship in. That's completely reasonable. But lots of people are looking at this specifically from bringing about end times, end of the world type stuff.
That's the thing. And I'm trying to look at this, and I'm trying to really have a reasonable perspective on the whole issue. I don't concern myself with the whole what I think should happen religiously. I don't care that much about that aspect. What I do care about is, especially since this is a conflict that matters very much to in the world at the moment, and I feel very much attached to the cause of the existence of the people of Israel. I want to support Israel in a conflict. However, there might always be elements within that side that might not always do things in a way that will resolve a conflict. That might make the conflict worse. For example, if a religious person says, we want to bring about the end times, we want to reestablish the temple, and we want to move toward the end times, we want things to get as they were prophesied and so on, it sounds a little bit dangerous. It sounds a little bit like something that I would say, you know what, I don't want to be supportive of it. I don't want to have any part in that, or I don't want to even be sound respectful or tolerant toward that. On the other hand, I think it would be fantastic if Jews could just, under the Israeli government, build the temple and get it over with, and have their most holy place in the world back. And nobody else should have any say about this anymore. And from my perspective, obviously, the end will not come after that. It will just move on. Time will just move on. No chaos will happen, and the situation will slowly calm down with time. While I understand different parties will freak out about how this is the end and bad things will happen and so on. If it could go this way, if it could just peacefully go forth into the future after a Jewish temple is rebuilt, I would say, you know what, that is a perfect solution. It is the perfect move. However, it's very hard for me to actually see through here and see what the future of this situation will actually bring and what perspective is the best to support. I don't know.
You're going to support Ali Dawa's view?
No.
Well, first off, pretty rude. You haven't even heard it yet. He might be saying some awesome, amazing, beautiful thing.
Well, my perspective on one issue, on the religious aspect, is very, very clear. And I'm going to be very honest about this. Nobody, and I repeat, nobody should have any say, no other religion should have any say in what's going to happen in Jerusalem and on Temple Mount. That's it. No Muslim concerns need to be respected in this, from my perspective.
Pretty radical.
And I know lots of
Israel
or Israeli perspectives will not say it like this. I will say it. They have enough in the world, and there's always this sense of entitlement. I don't give a care. I think their concerns don't matter at all in this. What matters here is what Israel does and what Jews do. However, I also would not want to support a global conflict that would just be an escalation of the matter. That's it.
Well, you're going to get one.
Preparing for that, and we're hoping that we'll have the temple and be able to bring our Passover sacrifice. The rabbis instituted that we should remind ourselves of the Para Aduma, because that would be part of the process. Because the average person throughout the year would come in contact with a corpse or attend a funeral or visit a cemetery. And before they would go up to the temple, they would have to have the water of the Para Aduma sprinkled upon them. So this week, when we read about this in the synagogue all over the world, we can know that this process is on its way and that Mashiach is closer than ever. If you like content like this about...
All right. So you got it there. So there is definitely a group. There is definitely a group that is thinking of this in terms as preparing the way for the Messiah, preparing the way for the Messiah. So deliberately acting so as to fulfill prophecy and bring about some end time stuff.
Alhamdulillah.
So in your face, AP. All right. So that's one perspective.
Inshallah, they will bring about the end times. Inshallah. Yes.
Yeah, there was so there have been tons and tons of videos about this. We'll look at a short one just to give a perspective of one of the Christians who's commenting, and then we'll look at Ali Dawa. A couple super chats here.
The Christian perspective is not important and not very valuable. We need to move on to the real perspective that really matters and that is very valuable and highly intellectually advanced, which is the perspective of the Dawa, which is the perspective of Ali Dawa. That's what matters here. Have some respect.
Well, you already said that no other religion's perspective matters except for that of Jews. You said that. You said that like 3 minutes ago.
That's true.
So in your face. Verse of the day, Colossians 4:5-6. Let's walk in wisdom towards outsiders, making the most of every opportunity, letting your speech be seasoned with salt.
Does it include anything about Dragon Ball?
No, you don't know anything. The Mandeans follow a Gnostic religion known as Mandeism and are similar to Jews. Prove it.
You know what's funny about the Mandeans? There was actually when the Muslims kept conquering in the Middle East and came across the Mandeans, they were confused about who these people are, because they were always very secluded. They didn't go out of their own circle, and they are still that way. Their number is very low, and they do exist. Most people in the world don't even know that they exist. And the Muslim conquerors encountered them and thought, who are these people? What is this? What are they doing? So they tried to figure out a way to deal with them, to either get rid of them, convert them, or turn them into dhimmis. And the Mandeans apparently informed themselves and said that they are a people of the book. They also follow scripture and also believe in the one God. So eventually they were accepted in the dhimmi system in the Islamic Caliphate. But they believe in, I think they are called John the Baptist followers or something like that also. It's an interesting group.
Very, very interesting group. Snite says, Jewish people should conclude that God isn't taking animal sacrifice anymore. Since the following 40 years after Jesus' death, the lot never fell to the priest's right hand, nor did the red ribbon ever turn white again for the atonement sacrifice. Yeah, I actually went to a Yom Kippur, so Day of Atonement service at a Messianic synagogue, so Messianic Jews. And the Messianic rabbi was talking about this. So AP, this is actually in the Talmud. That I forget which year it was. It was like 30 or 33 or something like that. It's in the Talmud. So they had so they had the tradition, and I may be getting some of the details wrong. I think this is right. So you have on the Day of Atonement, the Yom Kippur. On the Day of Atonement, they have the scapegoat, and it's a ritual where they place the sins of the nation on and send this thing out. And then they would make sure this thing goes over a cliff. But they would tie a scarlet thread around it, and then when the thing died, it would turn white. And this is actually supposedly what the book of Isaiah was referring to when it said, "Though our sins be like scarlet, they shall be as they should be as white as wool." Right? And so they'd make sure this this scapegoat died, and then the sign that God had forgiven the sins of his people was that the scarlet thread would turn white, or the scarlet ribbon, or whatever it was, would turn white. It's actually in the Talmud that at whatever it was, 30 or 33, but Messianic Jews point this out as connected to the death of Christ. That is actually in the Talmud that after whatever it was, 30 or 33, the thread stopped changing from scarlet to white. And so there was a question, why isn't this working anymore? Why isn't this working? And Messianic Jews have their interpretation. But yeah, interesting stuff.
Beast.
Chaim Malispin Aliyah Return Center explains who. Who what? I don't remember what we're talking about.
Explains who. Oh, yeah. Okay.
EQV, Temple Institute. There is an organization, the Temple Institute. Oh, is this talking about when I was asking who's involved in this? Is that what this is about earlier?
I guess so.
Should be decoupled to Hebrew. Jews should be decoupled to Hebrew, ethnos, and Jewish, religious. Okay, you're saying there should be different terms for them. Anti-Semitism should be decoupled to anti-Hebrew, ethnos, and anti-Judaism, religious. Then there's no confusing and abusive terms. You're right. It might be better to come up with specific terms.
Aliyah Return Center is an Israel-based. Look, it says
Are
based.
they based?
Israel.
We both said that.
Israel.
We can't see the word based anymore without thinking based.
Israel-based registered nonprofit organization helping Jewish new immigrants establish roots in the land of Israel and thrive. We are a Bible-believing, prophecy-fulfilling, non-proselytizing ministry built on a foundation of love and uncompromising faith.
Love.
Okay.
Say they're built on love. So
You see, love.
why are you against them? Do you think?
And love is heart, and heart is red, and red heifer. See, it's all connected.
You've got it. Does this all have similar implications for Christians? Is this just a sort of confirmation of end times for us? Well, I mean, it's going to depend on your view of end times. And again, as we're pointing out, that this could, when AP says this is a nothing burger, well, it could just be some group that doesn't actually have the power or authority or ability to go and take over the Temple Mount, and so nothing's going to happen. But whatever your perspective is, if somehow the perspective changes and you do get people taking over the Temple Mount, then that's going to have ramifications for you, whatever your perspective is. That could be the sort of thing that affects the entire world. That could be the sort of thing that leads to World War III. I don't know. But yeah, the point is, this could involve you. It might not, but it could.
That would be very nice. I mean, I kind of, people have been talking about it forever. Like, when is it going to come? It's so boring. It is so boring. I want something to finally happen.
You mean the end times or building the temple?
The World War III.
Oh yeah. As far as building, here's what we can say. Even if this is a relatively small group that can't, there's certain things they could do, right? If they want a red heifer, they can do that. If they want to sacrifice a red heifer, they can do that. If they want to prepare the water, they can't. It's going to be a little different because they don't have the temple, so I'm not sure exactly how they would do it. But they can do certain things. There are other things that they can't do unless they get a lot more support. But it's a situation where they could get more support. Views change over time. So they could get more support over time, especially if they're drawing attention to this sort of things. But even if they don't have the support now, if you've got lots of Muslims who are flipping out over this, losing their minds, it's sort of like triggering to lots of the ummah if they think, these guys are on the verge, and it could just happen at any time. Because keep in mind, if the government's not interested in this, and the vast majority of the Jewish population isn't interested in this sort of thing, lots of the Dawa guys think that the Jewish leaders are constantly lying. So in their minds, it's going to be, they're behind this. They're behind this. They're about to do this. Any day now, they're going to storm up the Temple Mount, kick everyone off, level the dome, and then instantly start construction of the third temple. So they're always going to be, in other words, the anxiety level in the Ummah is about to rise. Because if you've got people starting with the red heifer sacrifice and so on, it's going to be in their minds. They're all getting ready for something. And even if Jews say, no, we're not, what are you talking about? That's just some small group. No, they're not going to believe it. And so they're going to try to rile up. They're going to use this for exactly what Hamas used it for. They're going to use this to rile up hostility against Jews and Israel.
All these heifers causing problems.
Keep the straps tight or wear Muhammad's hijab.
Yeah.
Jews are peaceful. Explain to Nicaea. Then the hour won't come unless Jews kill the cows until they hide behind a stone or a tree. Who will say, "Oh, Jews, there's a cow behind me. Come and kill it." Except the Einek tree, the tree of the cow. To Nicaea, then, yeah. Yeah, to Nicaea 1, then. Yeah, that's fortunately that was removed. That was removed from the book, from the Bible.
Yeah, and it's now lost. Yeah.
I think the Orthodox have the heifer ready every year. Do they?
I hope so.
They paid a lot of money for those red cows. Oh, here you go. Chaim is a Jewish Israeli. Oh, Chaim is a Jewish Israeli Christian that knows the people involved, not government directed. It's a Christian and Jewish cooperative mission. Interesting. So it knows who's involved in this. But whatever they say, your Dawa guys are going to say they're all lying and it's all a huge, massive Jewish plot.
It's huge.
Holy cow. I'm craving a corned beef Reuben from my local Jewish deli. Extra sauerkraut, extra Russian dressing, marbled rye bread, perfection. Hey, you know what was weird? I went to a Jewish deli once and I ordered, what was it? Pastrami or something like that. I ordered like a pastrami sandwich or something like that. The thing came back. It was like this high. I'm not kidding. It was like this high. And I'm like, I mean, I eat a lot and I have a pretty big mouth. What the heck am I supposed to do with this thing, right? So I actually went, I took the sandwich and I went and bought a loaf of bread and I divided it up into like 7 different sandwiches. And I was like, who the heck eats? I mean, who eats that? I don't know. I don't know if that was just that one place or they were messing with me or what, but I've never seen that. I've never seen that before. Guys, do you know, is that normal for like a Jewish deli to make a giant sandwich that's like that high? Anyway, weird stuff.
I hope it is.
Remind me of Dagwood this is before your time. There's an old comic strip with a.
Did you know that the name pastrami actually comes from Turkish?
You don't know anything, man. It's Palestinian.
Yeah. Alhamdulillah.
D1AP, what do you think of the Yitzhak Qadri note, which also pointed to the end times and Christ being the Messiah? Do a show on it, please. To both. Love to both. Not familiar with that.
I know about death. I don't know about that one. Yeah.
AP, what do you think about the Yitzhak Qadri note?
Well, I don't think about it very much.
You're supposed to be looking that up. You're the professional researcher on the show.
Yitzhak Qadri, Haredi, a rabbi, Kabbalist who devoted his life to Torah study and prayer, or note, name of Messiah, and so on. We'll look into it.
I choose the red cow. Red heifer is a type of Christ. Think about it, D-Wood. No, we read the passage. We read the passage from Hebrews 9, and yes, it has been pointed out with the cedar and the hyssop and the red heifer that these things all have a kind of reddish tint, and that this is all. So the Christian understanding, well, you could interpret it this way, is that all these things are connected to blood. These things are to point you towards the blood.
I love blood.
Of course you are. You're an atheist. In the 90s, I attended a large assembly church that was supporting the ranchers who bred the red heifers. So it's been at least 25 years in the breeding. This red heifer business is a big nothing burger.
Nice.
Did this person come in late and not understand that's the joke you set things off with? The biggest issue, they don't know who their Cohens are. Well, some actually have it in the name. D-Wood and AP, have either of you seen the South Park episode about the red heifer called Ginger Cow? Could you please react to it? Thanks. Well, we definitely can't play it. I saw a clip of it. It sounded like Cartman was behind it and he just put like a red a red wig on it or something like this and some red spots on it or something. I don't know. Again, I only saw one little clip from it, so I don't know. I haven't seen the entire episode. But no, I saw that. So it looked like Cartman was doing it. And then the Jews go out to check out the red cow, but the Muslims are already there bowing down and worshiping. And then so Christians show up, and then it's Jews, Christians, and Muslims all trying to figure out what to do about this red cow situation. Then they have a conference to debate what's going to happen and how they're going to fight over this. Oh, here's Michelle. She says, we have ginger cows in Scotland, Highland cows. We are all ginger here. Yes. And I think they are redder. I think they're redder than the red cows.
And I think all Scottish people are ginger, and all Scottish cows are also ginger. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The whole country is 100% ginger. AP, yeah. The color red symbolizes blood. Think.
I know. I love it. Yeah.
The red cow is the new Mossad agent, you see? That should be, if we need to do a follow-up after the cow is sacrificed and we need to do a follow-up, we should have something on the thumbnail. Is this Mossad? An agent of Mossad? That'd be good for a thumbnail, wouldn't it?
The Mossad is sending their cows.
This guy looks happier meeting a cow than Muslim cowboy meeting a child. Goofy atheist AP could never understand such joyful reaction. Well, I'm the Muslim cowboy playing my guitar. That dude does inspire some good songs, though. We'll have to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd rather be excited over a cow than worship a moon god. That's true. There are too many word plays and puns available.
Yes.
There are some in the fields behind my house. I'll send you one. Oh, I'll take a red cow. I'm going to sell it for $100,000 because that's apparently the going rate for these red cows. Yeah, I don't know. I do not know how Scotland did not get involved in this. Why go to Texas when you have way more red cows there in Scotland? I don't know.
Hey, that's a good idea to start a new business, to get involved in the whole red cow business.
Seriously, you guys need the help of Anthony Rogers. For what?
Anthony Rogers needs the help of us.
Ordering coffee? What's Anthony? What is Anthony going to add to that? Milka is disgusting. Try Côte d'Or or
what?
Lint.
Okay, yeah, Lint is good, but
I know what Lint is. I know what Lint is. I know that.
Yeah, but Milka is better than these.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Now let's get This is not someone I know. I picked one of the videos that are circulating on Twitter about this. So this is a Christian take on it. And then we'll look at our good friend, the hero of Dawah, Ali Dawah.
Are biblical prophecies being fulfilled? In 2022, red heifers were shipped from the U.S. to Israel.
Oh, that's interesting. So that's recent. 2022.
That's cool.
For breeding purposes. Byron Stinson, the Texan who helped bring the cows to Israel, stated, quote, "We're going to accept the Messiah, and we need the Messiah to come," unquote. He then said, quote, "For me, the red heifer is red for the blood of Jesus Christ."
Ah, that dude does sound like a Christian. Huh. Interesting.
Quote, "The red heifer was a cow brought to the priests as a sacrifice according to the Torah. The ashes were then used for ritual purification for any Israelite that had come into contact with a human corpse, human remains, or a grave." Numbers 19 provide instructions for the red heifer sacrifice.
Dude, we already read the entire chapter.
He doesn't know that.
Why are you repeating stuff? He does have cool graphics in the background and stuff. Huh. Maybe I should make dope videos like that.
The Israelites were instructed to find a flawless red cow that had never been used for labor. The cow was then to be killed and burned outside the camp. The Temple Institution, an organization committed to the building of the Third Temple in Jerusalem, had been working on finding suitable heifers.
What did he call that? The temple? What? Because I think people were putting that in the chat. The organization
was identified in 1997, and another in 2002. Both were declared kosher, but then determined to be unsuitable. The heifers shipped in 2022 are considered kosher for sacrifice.
Huh. So they've been trying to get the cows. They've been trying to get the cows and hadn't found a good enough cow. They hadn't found the right cow. So that could be for various reasons. Maybe there's some a little bit of different colors in there somewhere at some point, or maybe it's done some work or something like that. Or okay, but anyway, now they finally got the cow.
According to Christian eschatology, the rebuilding of the temple after the sacrifice of the heifer is seen as preparation for the reign of the Antichrist.
Interesting. Now you know. The music makes it super dramatic.
That's very, very interesting. Now I know more. Now I understand them.
All right, are you ready? Are you ready to check out some Ali Dawah?
I'm mind blown by Ali D. Of course I am.
And I seriously can't believe that he just is so open. Well, he's not completely open. He still veils it, but he still inserts these threats. He's inserting the threats to slaughter people all over the place because he knows he can get away with it. Matter of fact, gosh, guys, those of you who make videos, that is a perfectly easy video clip to make. Say, look, here's what Ali Dawah just said. Here's what he's referring to. He is threatening to murder and slaughter Jews globally.
If I was somebody who made videos, I would immediately jump on that and make videos.
Like, why can't we find someone anywhere who makes videos, who does this sort of thing, who likes to expose the Dawah guys and the things they're saying? Isn't that weird? Pair character line. Why did they give us the descriptions of the super stickers? D Wood, what are your thoughts on Joel Richardson's theory that the Islamic Messiah is the Christian Antichrist? I don't know, because if Islam collapses, then they're not getting their Messiah. So I don't know if that's going to be the Antichrist or not. But I've never really studied end time stuff. There's a guy called Propaganda & Co., and he made a video about the red cow. Didn't watch it, but the same dude said that the IDF killed their own people to justify their genocide in Gaza. Oh, then it must be really good.
Wait, who said that? Propaganda & Co. Okay, yeah.
Propaganda & Co. He's the guy who said the IDF killed their own people.
If anyone at this point proposes that the IDF actually killed their own people, or that this was a plot by Israel, they must be one of two things. They're either incredibly stupid and ignorant, or they are just straight liars. It's basically, it's similar to denying the Holocaust.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually harder than denying the Holocaust.
Yeah.
At this point, at
this point we have tons of people who are there and witnessed it, who were running, and who, you have people who escaped, you have people who ran and hid and were watching, and
if you are at this point still coming with these conspiracy theories and saying, oh yeah, IDF killed their own people, yeah, Israel killed their own people, you are a scumbag. You're a scumbag and an imbecile, and yes, you're a scumbag.
Yeah, guys, and it's a general rule. The more people involved in a conspiracy, the easier it is to break down. Think about all the people you would need involved in this giant conspiracy to have the IDF going around slaughtering its own people. There'd be a ton of IDF people involved. There'd be all the witnesses. You've got all the Hamas guys running back and parading bodies and so on. And so, like, this is the idea that this is all like a giant conspiracy. What are the odds if you had a conspiracy this massive that someone's going to come forward and say, guys, this is actually a conspiracy?
Well, I'm just checking Propaganda & Co. and guests on that channel were Jackson Hinkle, Scott Ritter, who is an insane convicted sex offender, pedophile, I think, and so on. What is this? Man, these are the kind of people that mix into the conversation. Okay.
From the river to the sea, my leather are straps free. No, not yet. D Wood, the ashes What is this? Diwa, the ashes are for our daily cleansing. 1 John 1:9. It is all about Christ. You should understand the symbolism. Soap is made from ashes.
Ashes to ashes.
There's a YouTube, what is a TY channel? There's a TY channel called Israel My Channel that does a lot of in-depth videos on this. Stop being disrespectful and turn your background red, AP. That is a good point.
Stop what? Wait a minute.
We're
what?
talking about the red cow, and you've got a blue background. Very disrespectful.
I'm sorry.
Thinko, that's me. Clear and in focus. Christian. AP, blurry and confused. Atheist, draw your own conclusion. Yeah, but AP is pretty clear right now, so. Cows are red, pit bulls are blue. Heifers are children, and Aisha was too. We're back to the poems. Oh, here we go. I bodied Hamza's den in a debate regarding Christianity. Is everyone happy? That is something you should have caught at the beginning, AP. It should have been obvious to you at the beginning to make your background red.
I'm sorry. I apologize. I feel bad about it, and I hope I can make it better.
Looks way cooler given
I
our
will try
topic
to make
matter.
it.
Yeah, looks good. I bodied Hamza's den in a debate regarding Christianity. I sent a DM to AP with it, but I figured it'd make a good React content.
I'll check it out. Check it out.
Yeah, we do like Hamza's den getting crushed. All right, you ready to jump into Ali Dawa's video? Prepare everyone for your minds to be blown.
We'll be watching Ali Dawa.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, brothers and sisters and dear friends. Dajjal has been talked about many times, and one of his signs will be that when he will not be mentioned on the minbar, and that is one of the signs that Dajjal will come. You don't hear.
What are you laughing at?
The fact that this guy is actually lecturing, the fact that this guy is actually trying to teach people something, it's just so stupid. It's I don't know. It feels very, very embarrassing. I feel kind of secondhand embarrassment thinking about the fact that there are lots of people out there who actually sit and listen to this guy and learn from him. I mean, that's a very bad reputation right there.
Well, you say that now, but watch how he proves you wrong. Let's let him finish.
Mention on the minbar, and that is one of the signs that Dajjal will come. You don't hear about him as much. Now, bro.
Did you hear that? One of the signs that the Dajjal is coming is that you won't hear about him. Is that he won't be mentioned, the minbar, and he's saying, "Oops, he's not mentioned as much." like this guy did some polls. How much was the Dajjal mentioned in the 1800s? Oh, how much is he mentioned now? Oh, they're not mentioning him as much. You see, this means
It's proof. Yeah,
it's the proof. And it's something that blows our mind, like in water. You could put your hand, but there be layers of darkness down there, yeah, right? And our mind is like, wow, same thing here.
Sisters, very interestingly and ironic, subhanAllah, if you think about it, that the Jews did, which I found out, that subhanAllah, in the Torah, in the scriptures, that they have to slaughter a specific kind of cow. And why? Because this cow is going to symbolize the coming of their Messiah.
Did he just say found out?
Yeah, as far as the coming of the Messiah, yeah, there are Jews who believe that the red heifer is connected to the coming of the Messiah. Let's see what he said here.
In the scriptures, that they have to slaughter a specific kind of cow. And why? Because this cow is going to symbolize the coming of their Messiah.
It's not that it's symbolizing it. I don't know. I don't know what to do with this dude.
For us, the Dajjal. We're going to come into the nitty-gritty of it.
Oh, wait. The nitty-gritty. Let's see what he said here.
Cow. And why? Because this cow is going to symbolize the coming of their Messiah, i.e. for us, the Dajjal.
So there you have it. The Jewish Messiah is going to be the Islamic Dajjal.
Alhamdulillah.
Isn't that interesting? All the different places that the Dajjal could come from. He's going to be the Jewish Messiah, according to Ali Dawah.
Well, here is the thing, and this very much reveals actually the people don't understand it, but this is why Islam is the problem, as Mustafa Hassan Yusuf, for example, explained to Dr. Phil and his audience. This is why Islam is the problem. Muslims believe in their traditions, they do believe that the Dajjal will come and he will be led, he will lead a bunch of Jews. And there is a number, which is like 70,000 Jews that will be following him. But that is only one aspect. They believe that the Jews will follow the Dajjal, and then the Muslims will fight him, and they will kill the Jews. They will kill the Jews, they will slaughter them, and even rocks and trees will say, there's a Jew behind me, come and kill him. So these are not necessarily related or direct narrations, but often people consider these two narrations as part of the same sequence of events, that this is during the end times where Jews will be following the Dajjal and Muslims will be fighting and finally exterminating the Jews. So when Ali Dawah repeats stuff like this, and when Islamists repeat these things, what they are saying here is that the big fight is coming and that they will be fighting and killing the Jews. On the other side, the Jews don't prominently say, oh yeah, the time will come and we will kill the Muslims. But the Muslims, they do believe specifically and explicitly that they will be fighting and killing the Jews. This is religiously, fundamentally inspired, prevalent anti-Semitism, which is why everything about Zionism, Israel, all that is just an excuse.
And you're about to see that from Ali Dawah himself. We're about to see from Ali Dawah himself how he wants a bloodbath here. And he wants his team to be on the giving end of that bloodbath, and he wants Jews to be on the receiving end of that bloodbath.
Come into the nitty-gritty of it, but here's a video which will dissect and make it more clear for you, which I came across and I thought I have to do a video of this because this is so profound. It shows how close we are to the day of judgment. And not only that, I'm going to tell you guys a verse in the Quran which you're going to be like, oh my gosh, that is exactly what Allah says in the Quran. Let's watch the video for ourselves.
Hey, do you think you think our minds are going to be blown? Do you think we're going to go, oh my gosh?
Considering all the tiny things that Ali Dawah sees and thinks, oh my gosh, how could this happen? Yeah. I don't expect that at all. Yeah. Let's see.
I think he plays someone else's video here. We're not going to watch that. Anyone who wants to watch this other video can go watch it.
Inshallah, and we're going to come.
Could a Texas cow start Armageddon in the Middle East in April 2024? And what does this?
All right, let's fast forward through his, because we've already covered the basics of the whole situation here.
Hey, you know what's funny?
Here we go.
I was just looking for the word Dajjal on Google Trends, and it has been consistently going higher in mentions since 2004.
Oh, really? So, hey, you should make a little video about that. Ali Dawah says, oh, no one's talking about him anymore. Oh, wait a minute. The people are talking about him more.
Like in 2023, the average mention is much higher than in 2010, for example. That's funny.
Wait a minute. Are you saying Ali Dawah said something, completely made it up?
Yeah. And
he's wrong? Shocker. Yeah. Shocker, 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 shocker. All right, so now back to our good friend Ali Dawah.
Authorities who said.
So guys, you heard that for yourself, subhanAllah. What does that remind you of? They are looking for a specific, cows, heifers, whatever you want to call them for that matter. And
it reminds us of the Quran where it gives a clear prophecy that Jews are going to sacrifice a cow.
That it should be totally red color. It should not have any defects. It should be, perfect to the best of ability. No yellow hair, no black hair, etc. It all has to be red, and the sacrifice has to happen in a specific land which they've already bought. That has to be facing their temple, where's Masjid al-Aqsa now, and they're going to do that sacrifice. Doesn't that ring a bell?
Guys, at this point, I can't tell. I can't tell if he's just being massively deceptive here, or if she's actually this dumb. It could go either way with Ali Dawah. I'm like 50-50. I mean, he's dumb either way, but a dumb person can be massively deceptive as well. So is it just pure stupidity, or does he know that what he's saying is completely ridiculous and he's saying it because he knows that his audience, his fans, are even stupider than he is?
He is a known liar. I proved that to people back when I had my interactions with him about debating, and he justified lying basically based on speaking to the enemies of Islam and all that.
I'm sorry, I just saw Armageddon. Armageddon. But guys, watch what Ali Dawah does here. He hypes it up like it's going to be a prophecy. He hypes it up like it's how could the Quran have known about this? When all the Quran is describing is the ritual, because it's Surah 2, and by this time Muhammad is responding to the Jews because he's interacting with 3 Jewish tribes in Medina. And they're challenging him on various things. And you have in the Quran, what you remember, AP? You remember that Muhammad is called the ear? And they're constantly pointing out that he's got guys who are going and gathering information from him and telling him things and so on. And then he gets stories, and a lot of the stories we actually know where they come from, and they're fake, but he couldn't tell the difference because that's why they called him the ear. They said he believes whatever anyone tells him. Yes. Well, one of the stories about the sacrifice of a cow is in Surah Al-Baqarah. And Ali Dawah is amazed at how the Quran could have known this stuff about the cow. So here we go.
What does Surah Baqarah say? What did Bani Israel, isn't that interesting? What Allah ordered Bani Israel to do. And it says, and remember when Moses said to his people, Allah commands you to sacrifice a cow. They replied, are you mocking us? Moses responded, I seek refuge in Allah from the foolish. They called upon him and said, call upon your Lord to clarify for us what type of cow it should be. He replied, Allah says that it should be neither an old nor young, but in between. Then they further asked, as you guys know how it goes, call upon your Lord. He said it should be...
You getting this, AP?
Wow, man.
How could Allah have known?
Oh my gosh.
AP, how could Allah have possibly known that the Jews sacrificed a cow?
Nobody could have known this.
White, yellow, cow, pleasant.
Could have known this.
Yeah, you read it and you're just like, wow.
See, then they asked again, then it said, and then Allah SWT said, it should have been used neither to till the soil nor water the fields, wholesome and without blemish. Doesn't that ring a bell, guys? Now,
without blemish, it's just like this red cow, yeah? It's just like this sacrifice, yeah? It's without blemish. How could Allah have known that this was in the Torah and the Jews knew this?
they said, you have come with the truth, then they slaughtered it, even though Allah says in the Quran, it seemed like they were not going to. So subhanAllah, how did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this was revealed to the Prophet, peace be upon him, know about this stuff about Bani Israel, and that's exactly what is mentioned in their Talmud and in their Torah, that they have to do that. Isn't that found? Now let's...
Did you see what he just said? How could Allah have known about this?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe asked any Jew or Christian on the planet?
How could Allah have known about this? Yeah, how could Allah have known about this? So
he even had Jewish converts. There were even Jewish converts to Islam. Like, how could he have known this? Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
For context, for those who don't know, it is thought that Jews built the city of Medina, which was called Yathrib, and that they basically turned that place, that city, into a flourishing, successful place. The Arab populations that lived there weren't quite good at it. Does it ring a bell? See, the Arabs weren't making a good place out of that, and then the Jews came and they made it flourish. Does it ring a bell? Ooh.
Sounds like some other places.
So the Jews were, it is believed, were the people who made that place flourish, who turned it into a proper city, and so on, which is why during Muhammad's time, Jews were very much still present in Medina. And when Muhammad went to Medina, there was a significant Jewish population living alongside the polytheistic pagan Arab population, and the Muslims regularly interacted with them. Muhammad was in the beginnings extremely interested in Christianity and Judaism because he wanted to market his own religion as a part of Abrahamic religion and as one of them. And he was trying to win the Jews over and trying to tell them, you know, we are the same. You know, we come from the same tradition. It's the same God. It's your God. Your God sent me. Yeah, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, and the Jews were like, no, no, you sound completely insane. And over time he got mad at them. But according to the Islamic traditions themselves, Muhammad had many interactions with the Jews of Medina. The Jews asked him questions to test him. They asked him questions about how he reconciles different things, questions about his pagan beliefs. Muhammad asked them a lot about their beliefs. And there were a lot of Jews who supposedly converted to Islam and who had a role in the Jewish community that became part of the Muslim community. So when somebody sits here and says, how could Allah have known this? How could Allah have known this? Well, it's very simple. Based on what I just explained here in the roughest ways, it's quite easy to say how Allah could have known something that Jews popularly believe in, right?
Yeah, guys, I mean... just think, if you walked up to someone and he said, hey, did you know what Muslims believe? Muslims believe that Muhammad's a prophet and that Muhammad flew a winged donkey monster to the Temple Mount and so on. And imagine someone saying, how could this person have known that apart from divine revelation? Yeah, I don't know, by hearing it. From any number of endless sources. Guys, this is actually very important. When Ali Dawah walks around where everything is amazing confirmation of Islam, it's so clear, Islam is so clearly the truth, yeah. And you look at what amounts to proof for him or what amounts to evidence. Oh, the Quran retells something from the Torah. When Muhammad was constantly interacting with Jews and sharing stories, and there are even Jewish converts to Islam. And what possible source could there be for the author of the Quran knowing a story that any Jew could have told him? So therefore Islam has to be from God. This is what da'wah is, ladies and gentlemen. And treating this as somehow some kind of miraculous confirmation that Islam is true. This is the proof. Oh my goodness.
About the Jews, Zionists, and the Christians. They are waiting for the Messiah to come. Now, why? Now, this is something very, very interesting, guys. SubhanAllah, just deep this for a second. Brothers and sisters, the Messiah did come. It was Jesus, peace be upon him. We believe in this. His miraculous birth, the miracles that he done. He was the Messiah. They tried to kill him and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saved him from their hands. Now, because they rejected the true Messiah, which was Jesus, because of their arrogance and because of their attitude of killing the prophets, as you can see, that's why the covenant was taken.
Interesting. AP, you're saying they rejected Jesus. Why did people reject Jesus?
Good question.
Because people wanted him dead, AP. I mean Ali Dawah. People wanted him dead. People clearly wanted him dead. Claiming to be the Messiah is not something you'd put someone to death for. So he did something that really, 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 really ticked people off. What was that? Going around telling, if you look at the Jesus of the Quran, there's no way this guy would have even slightly offended a Jew. What?
No, you're misrepresenting it. Clearly, the Jews of the time, they wanted him dead. The Pharisees, they wanted him dead because he kept saying to them, believe in one God. Believe in one God. Worship one God. Follow the true religion.
Yeah, that's Jesus. That's Jesus in the Quran. Jesus is going around telling them, hey, guys, you should believe in one God. Just worship one God. Don't worship a bunch of gods. Just worship one God. And the Jews are like, you have to die for telling us this. Like,
How dare you!
"Ah!" The Islamic view never, ever makes sense of any of the actual evidence that we have. And Ali Dawah was making it look like Islam got the only view that makes sense. Yeah.
From them and given to the Muslims. Now, because of that, their Messiah is going to be who? Who do you think their Messiah is going to be? Who do you think they are preparing this for? Trying to destroy Al-Aqsa so they can build their third temple. What? Who is it? It's the Dajjal. They are going to follow the Antichrist, the Dajjal. Okay, now let's come to the Christians.
Think about this. No, obviously, the only people who would not want the Dome of the Rock sitting right there, that would be the Antichrist, yeah? The Antichrist, that would be him. That would be the Dajjal. Who else would not want the Dome of the Rock right there in the middle of Jerusalem? That's the only explanation, yeah?
The Christians believe that God came down as a man and done miracles, and so they believe in this concept that God can be a man, he can come down, claim to be divine, and do miracles.
What's he saying? God can't come down. This is the same guy who said that if God enters creation, he wouldn't be God. And then when people were asking him how Allah descends from the highest heaven down to where we are to hear people's prayers, he said, but he does it in the way that befits his majesty. It's like, oh, okay, he can do it.
Yeah. That is an actual hadith that Muslims believe is entirely authentic. I think it is even counted as one of the mutawatir hadith, which means it is mass transmitted and is so authentic that you can't argue that it is inauthentic. According to which Muhammad said that Allah comes down every night to the lowest heaven or to the heaven of the earth and stays there for a while to listen to prayers and to basically answer the prayers of his believing Muslims. And then after a while he leaves. This doesn't make much sense because it's always night somewhere on the earth.
Allah has to keep flying back and forth throughout the day. He's going back and forth. He's super fast, but he can do that because he's Allah.
Yeah.
But think about this. He can travel back and forth super fast. So guys, so Allah's up here. He's up here on his throne. But to hear people's prayers, he has to descend to get really close to them. He has to get way closer to them because he can't hear from far away. So he has to get really close to hear people's prayers. But he does this in the night. Right. But AP's pointing out, night changes, right? It's night over here, but then later on it's night over here and so on. So if Allah has to keep descending to catch people at night, then Allah's just going back and forth. So he's really fast, but not very good hearing. He can't hear. He can't hear unless he's close up, but he's super fast. He's really, really fast. Because keep in mind that the lowest heaven is our entire universe and all the stars. You have to go beyond that. You have to go way beyond that. You have to go way beyond that to get to the other heavens and so on, and to eventually get to the highest heaven. And so Allah is traveling a really far distance. He's super fast, way, way, way faster than the speed of light, massively faster than the speed of light. Ears, not very strong.
I would even argue that the hadith, that this narration is so illogical that there is simply no way to reasonably explain it, and that this would put serious doubt on the credibility of Muhammad, or should, if you are a Muslim. That the hadith is just, it doesn't make sense. It is illogical. It contradicts the basic laws of, not the laws of nature, it contradicts logic. It is, if you believe in a flat earth where night and day is the same everywhere on this earth, yeah, sure, you could explain that. But if you acknowledge that the earth is not flat, that we are in this universe, and that night and day are quite relative depending on where you are on the earth, and it's always night somewhere on the earth, then yeah, the hadith doesn't make any sense at all. It can't be explained. It is ignorant.
Yeah, so guys, think about what Ali Dawah is saying here. He's saying, in effect, the Jews are in trouble because they rejected Jesus. And the Jesus that they were rejecting, according to the Quran's view, it makes no sense. It makes no sense why anyone would have rejected a Jesus who's, it makes no sense why any first century Jew would have rejected a Jesus who's walking around saying, hey, everyone, believe in God. Just make sure you worship one God, not a bunch of other gods. Just worship one God. Makes zero sense at all that people would have had a problem with them. And yet he's saying, you see, Jews are bad because this is what they did, even though it makes no sense. And then he's saying Christians are dumb because, Christians believe that God can enter creation as a man, which, if you believe in God, God could definitely do that. He has the power. He has the power. Even Old Testament, God could appear and walk around with people. And he's the one, according to him, he's got the only view that makes sense. And this is a guy who believes in an Allah who can't hear a person's prayers unless he moves real fast, gets a quick listen, then bolts back, gets down. Like everyone's like striving to listen to things, like even the demons, right? They have to sneak up into heaven. They have to sneak up into heaven to hear Allah's plan so that they can then run back. And that's when Allah hurls a star at them and it becomes a shooting star when he hurls it at a demon. But then Allah, think, the demons, they can't hear Allah's plans unless they get really close to him. That's why they have to sneak up. But Allah can't hear anyone else unless he travels down. So sound is apparently a difficult thing in Islam. For even for demons and for Allah himself. You have to be really close to someone to get a good listen. And therefore, Allah's just bouncing up and down all day, every day, listening to prayers around the world because he can't hear them. And he's saying, you see, that's why we got the truth, not like the dumb Jews and Christians. Yeah. Like how is every single video I watch by this guy the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life? How is it possible?
Christians are stupid, because they don't believe in Islam, You know what? That's actually it was one of the interesting things that I encountered when I was, I'm not sure if I was still a Muslim at that point, but when I was reading the Bible and I encountered the narratives of God basically being there alongside his people and all that, it just seemed completely different from how I always learned about Allah in the Quran. So Islam is completely detached from the traditional, from the historical perspective, from the biblical perspective of how God has been described, how God has been seen, where God is together with his people, where God appears, the burning bush, or him being together with his people when they are traveling from one place to another and all that. None of that has any place in Islam. Islam is unfamiliar with the Bible. Islam is unfamiliar with how the Bible is and what makes Abrahamic belief the way it is. It's a perversion.
And you heard that from an atheist, ladies and gentlemen. False world peace. Finally, the false Messiah or Antichrist will be seen to Muslims as the figure that breaks crosses. The beast comes out of the earth. I'm not convinced that Ali Dawah is right about the end times. I think he might be off a little bit.
I think Ali Dawah is the beast that comes out of the earth.
Is AP blurred or do my leather straps deceive me? No, he's not blurred. He was earlier for a little
She
bit.
was correct. I was blurred.
You were correct. Long time ago. And goy are synonyms. Ummah isn't a Hebrew word. Who are you calling goy? Who are you calling goy?
I'm pretty sure that and Ummah are actually etymologically related. Ummah, I think, entered Hebrew, but and Ummah, so in Hebrew and Ummah in Arabic, for example, are linguistically, etymologically related.
Mm-hmm.
Nation, people.
Pool of Siloam. Pool of Siloam also back, fulfills temple prerequisites. Yeah, we are familiar with the Pool of Siloam. You can actually go there, ladies and gentlemen. If you go to Jerusalem, make sure you go to the Pool of Siloam. There's
inshallah.
actually a crazy long tunnel that leads down there. I don't know if you can get in there. I've been in the tunnel before, but there's a crazy long tunnel that you can walk under the city of David and go down to the pool of Siloam. Do you know about the Baha'i and the Heifer building? I know they have a big temple there in Heifer, right? But what about, I'm not really familiar with the Baha'i.
It looks very fancy. It's a very fancy place.
It's pretty fancy.
Yeah. One day, if I have time and I visit Israel, I want to go and see that. It will be fun.
Can you explain how the different eschatology? No, I cannot.
I can.
I've said like 9,000 times I've never really studied end time, so I would not be the guy to go to on anything like this. Did you guys know the killing of IRGC Commander Mohammad Reza Zahedi was on the anniversary of the martyrdom of Imam Ali? Coincidence? And that blows our mind, yeah? Like, how can this even be? D. Wood and AP, you see the new ISIS poster with Ali Dawa in his ninja robes. What? No, is it a joke? Did someone make a joke one?
Didn't know. Didn't see it.
No, I'm wondering, is like, did ISIS make a poster and Ali Dawa's in there, or is it like someone made a spoof? How about no? I don't buy your red cow. Pretty rude. In voodoo, people believe you are born with those spirits and you must be descended from Africa to have those spirits, similar-ish to Jews.
The guy, what's his name? Mohammad Reza Zahedi was actually part of the planning of October 7 terrorist attacks, according to Iranian groups. So very good that he was killed.
They're probably saying, "Oh, how good! It's a miracle that he was killed on the same day." Yeah, what's up? Hey, David, is Mike Winger your enemy now so that you can love him even more, as per Matthew 5:43? Yeah, just because it says love your enemies doesn't mean you have to love them more. All right? Yes.
So knows too much said regarding Ahmad Ummah that is not accurate. What I said earlier is accurate. Fight me. How about that?
Yeah, how about that? Cash him outside. Sorry, I said first beast comes from out of the earth. That's the second beast, false prophet, and the first comes from the earth and brings false peace before the 7 years. Rabbi Kadari was the most famous Kabbalist in his time, left a note and instructions to be opened 1 year after his death. Note said, Christ equals Mashiach. I don't know about that. Might be something to check out.
Sounds like I'll have a look at it.
D. Wood and AP, how do you reach LGBT Muslim? I'd probably tell them to read what Muhammad said about them.
I just give them a call. Oh.
I'm going to take my cow to the Temple Mount. Ride till I can't no more. Old Town Road Melody. Yeah, it sounds like something the Muslim cowboys say. I'm going to take my cow to the Temple Mount. Ride till I can't ride no more. Yeah. Most split the moon so the red cow can't jump over it.
Yeah.
Let's see. Most difficult to fully comprehend is Genesis and Revelation, and any person trying to bring the end of the world is wild. We Christians waiting on Yeshua. Once in an Arabian desert, Abdullah ibn Masud witnessed the prophet's hole in the narrative getting banged by a swarm of... What's wrong? Let me take this.
No.
Took a screenshot. I'll check out those sources. And all right, let's get back to Ali Dawa here. Wait, no. We've got to choose the cow here. Gabriel came to Muhammad in the cave and commanded him to choose the cow. Muhammad replied, "What?" Gabriel squeezed him, yelling, "Choose the cow."
That's good.
All right.
Interesting. What's Dajjal going to do? I can remember once a Christian guy came to me and said Islam is a Dajjal religion. I was like, interesting. That's very ironic. You believe God is a man, done miracles. You believe that. Okay, so when Dajjal comes, he's going to be a man. He's going to do miracles. He's going to claim to be divine. I wonder who will fall for that. Muslims or the Christians?
You see that? Now, here's a problem. Here's a problem. Look what he just said. The Dajjal is going to come. Look what he just said. This makes no sense.
Oh my God, these people are. Oh.
No, guys, his entire system falls apart right here. He's saying the Messiah is going to come and claim to be divine. And he's saying, you Christians will fall for it. Muslims will not fall for it. Okay. But Ali Dawa, you said that the Jewish Messiah, the Messiah that the Jews believe in, is going to be the Dajjal. How are Jews going to believe in a Messiah that's claiming to be God? You're saying the Jews he's saying the Jews and the Christians are both going to fall for the Dajjal. Muslims are the only people who aren't going to fall for the Dajjal.
The Jews will change their mind.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, think about it. I mean, guys, so look at how dumb this is. He's saying Jews and Christians are both going to fall for the Dajjal. Then when he's talking about why the Christians are going to fall for the Dajjal, it's like, oh, because he's a man who claims to be divine. Okay. Is that what the Jews are going to believe? You can't have it. You can't have it both ways, Ali Dawa. You can't have it both ways.
Oh, so, I didn't think about that, but I think the Jews will actually change their mind this time.
Yeah, they're going to believe it. Yeah, I believe that they're going to think, oh, yeah, but no, this guy's claiming to be divine. Yeah, now we'll believe in him, yeah.
Gosh, this is so stupid.
And Ali Dawa, think about how, I mean, absolutely stupid and clueless this guy is. Jesus warns, hey, false messiahs are going to come. They're going to mislead many. He says his return is going to be so obvious, no one can dispute it. So it's not going to be some guy who comes along and goes, hey, I'm divine, everyone. And Christians go, oh, okay, duh. My goodness.
Plus, he's also acting like he's doing that whole thing again. He's acting like, wow, look, it is predicted that the Dajjal will be a man, and he will do magic, and he will be a man, and he will claim to be divine. Whoa, you see, how could this be? You know who believes that? Christians believe that. Well, could it be that this narrative was made up because Christians believe in the divinity of Jesus?
This is completely incoherent. What do you, I mean, like, how do you refute someone whose followers are so insanely stupid that he can contradict himself 57 times in 2 minutes and they're too dumb to spot it? Like, if they're too dumb to spot it when it's obvious, I mean, how do you go and point it out to them? They're not going to listen to you. Oh, who are we going to believe? Ali Dawa, our hero, or you, who's pointing out facts and logic? Oh my goodness.
It's just so funny. We sat here and we watched we read the Bible, then we watched something from a Jewish person, then we watched something from a Christian person, and everything was okay with agreements and disagreements until we came to Ali Dawa, where then the intellectual level, there was a significant drop, so much that I'm getting nauseous from the drop. And it's just insanely stupid. Like, all the others were like, oh, okay, we're speaking on the same level. Like, we're humans who have disagreements. And then here we're like, oh, what is this? What is this?
Yeah. Yeah. So, matter of fact, that's a very important point. So go back to we watched a video by an Orthodox Jew talking about preparing the way for the Messiah by this red heifer sacrifice and so on. We can we can watch that, and I'm a Christian, so I believe Christ is the fulfillment of the law and the rituals and so on. So I could look at that and say, hey, I don't agree with this guy. It never crosses my mind, this guy's stupid. This guy's just dumb. It doesn't enter my mind. And even though I'm thinking he's wrong about things, and we can have, he's a guy you could have a discussion with, and he's obviously going to disagree. In fact, in the comment section of his video, there are Christians who argue with him, and he has he's not nice. He's not nice to Christians. So that's a guy that you can disagree with and even argue with him, and he's going to say, hey, you're wrong, and then here's why you're wrong, and this is ridiculous. And you can say, no, you're wrong. You never get the impression that you're just dealing with someone who's like a clueless idiot. When you watch Ali Dawah, it suddenly changes to like, this is insanely moronic, and this only appeals to like the dumbest of the dumb. Like, again, you could watch the video by that Jewish guy, and you can understand why, even if you disagree with him, you can understand, okay, I understand why you believe this. If you don't believe in Jesus, then you're still looking to the coming of the Messiah. If you're still looking for the coming of the Messiah, and you believe that you need the temple and you need this red heifer and stuff, I understand all of that. I understand all that. You don't have to, I don't think that you have to be an idiot to be thinking these things. When Ali Dawah starts talking, I mean, everything he's saying from the beginning of the video to the end, when he's pointing, oh, look, how could Allah have known this? It's right there in the Quran, yeah, where it's describing something that any Jew during that time could have told you. How could anyone have known this? It's a miracle. And then here, it's, oh, Jews and Christians, everyone's going to fall for the Dajjal except the Muslims. And then the Dajjal he describes is something that people would never automatically fall for. You couldn't. Different groups would reject him for different reasons. He's so insanely stupid, and his followers they seem incapable of catching on. They need miraculous intervention to get these guys to have a coherent thought. And this is what that book somehow does to people, because look, I mean, he's popular for a reason. And have we ever watched a video where he wasn't like this, like completely idiotic and completely illogical?
I think actually that Al-Dawa and his fans are intellectually on a very high level that we cannot reach, which is why we don't understand it.
Oh, we can't even comprehend the brilliant reasoning. Yeah, that's another theory. That's another theory. All right, let's read a couple super chats, because they will be like 1,000 times more intelligent than Ali Dawah. D. Wood, can Occam's razor apply? Simply put, Christ is the only Messiah the last 2,000 years. 0 people fill the role of Messiah. The one who's next is not Christ. Okay. So I guess you're saying that other people have claimed to be the Messiah, and they turned out not to be. Yeah, I don't know if this would be an Occam's razor type situation. An atheist said the Nazis used Calvin. Who's Calvin Luther? I mean, Calvin and Luther? Calvin and Luther? An atheist said the Nazis used Calvin Luther's writings on anti-Semitism to justify killing the Jews. How would you respond? Well, if anyone did, then they would be stupid, because you're not supposed to be going around killing Jews. Excuse my language. Oh, Mike Winger's voice.
Excuse my language, everyone. Please, if you have any children under the age of 40 who are with you, you'll want to cover their ears. But was Muhammad retarded? The things he says in the hadiths are very questionable.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I apologize. I apologize for using such harsh language.
I remember having a little conversation with Michael Jones about the whole Martin Luther thing a long time ago. I don't know, we messaged a long time ago. It was indeed a thing that the Nazis appealed to a certain narrative in the writings of Martin Luther and justified anti-Semitic things and tried to convince Christians that it's okay to persecute the Jews. And I don't know. Martin Luther did write some problematic things about.
Yeah, he wrote some very nice things about his perspective changed, because he thought hey, now that once we get the Catholic stuff out of here, then Jews are going to be on board, and then they weren't. And so you can find him saying very nice things, and hey, the reason they're rejecting it is rejecting Rejecting Jesus is how they've been treated for so long and so on. So we need to fix that. And then, oh, actually, they're not believing in Jesus now with you Protestants either. And then became more aggressive. He also went crazy towards, he also got crazier as time went on. So.
Alhamdulillah.
AP and D Wood, love all the work you both do together. I've learned a lot from both of you. Yes, that's good. That's why we're here. Chloe says, I'm Christian, but Old Testament laws are cringe. Touch a menstruating woman equals be unclean. If that, why would the triune God care? I dirty my toilet, dirty animal equals me. No, it's not. Chloe, it goes back to what we were talking before. It seems like it's becoming ritualized, avoiding anything associated with death or blood or anything, and that has an impact on people over time, and that you end up with people who love life, and then you end up with a Messiah who conquers death. What are you laughing at? You?
I'm laughing at Chloe's reaction to it. Her attitude. Yeah.
Hey, what's this? Ali Dawa growing some zabubas? No way. Well, it is Ramadan. He's probably packed on 10 pounds for Ramadan. Happens every year. Moria says, I don't think they are trying to bring the end times. They are preparing for the coming of the Mashiach, which they believe is soon to happen. Oh, yeah. So that's what I mean. I don't know. I don't know what's in their mind as far as, hey, the Messiah won't come until we do this, so we're going to do this, and then the Messiah can come whenever he wants. Or it's, hey, we need to do this because we're at this stage in history when the Messiah is going to come, and we need to do this. The Messiah is not going to come unless we do this right now, so we have to do this so the Messiah can come. I don't know. Ali Dawa got that earthworm physiognomy.
Yeah.
So when are you two going to do a video with Ali Dawa as one of the ladies in Monty Python? He does have the same voice.
Man.
Super sticker from Thomas. Pair character riding a firework. Oh, yeah. Before
The
bursting
comment
in
about
the sky.
earthworms reminds me of Earthworm Jim. Do you know about Earthworm Jim? There was a character.
No.
From an
Sounds like
old
something you made
game
up.
in the 90s or something.
No.
That's funny.
Armageddon and Wingnuts Assembler. Wingnuts. Life is good, so when Momo Hijab says that they love death, they are not good. So in conclusion, stay away from Islam. Yeah, life is good. So when, and we might have to check this out. I heard Muhammad Hijab posted a message to Jews, and he's basically telling them, why don't you go commit suicide? Isn't that amazing? Jews are like, hey, we love life. We love life. We don't love death. And then Muhammad Hijab, look, the Quran says if you're really God's people, then why don't you want death? Why don't you want to die? Go ahead, go commit suicide. My goodness, whatever.
Maybe that should be a point where you say, "Oh, look at that! Look at that! How could Allah be so ignorant that He doesn't even know that Jews don't react to that because they value life, not death."
He left out Allah said the cow was yellow. Yeah, I was wondering about that too. I mean, I've always wondered about that. Why it said yellow cow. I don't know.
There is no connection, right? That is just unique to the Quran, where it says that they are.
That's what I'm wondering. I'm wondering if there's like some variant in the somewhere in the Talmud or something like that said yellow. Because I mean, Muhammad got all his information from people, or if if someone was just messing with him at some point and said, "Hey, yeah, it's a yellow cow," and you're like, "Oh, yellow cow! Look what in the Quran there."
Maybe that's what happened. Maybe he was talking to Jews and he was asking about the cow, and they just say yellow, to see if he's a prophet, and he just took it as yellow.
We'll never get over Ali D not renouncing Islam after scientific miracles were debunked. Shows truth doesn't matter to these people at all. And I mean, think about this. If he is rejecting the scientific miracles and you think that's been debunked, but he's shocked, and it has to be a miracle that the Quran partly gets the story of an Old Testament cow sacrifice. The author of the Quran has some vague familiarity with an Old Testament cow sacrifice. Like that's the shocking knowledge. He's in a community where he's interacting with 3 Jewish tribes.
Yes.
Wild, powerful stuff. All right.
Guys will fall for it. So this is why, brothers and sisters, when the Messiah comes, and it is so close, because they are now literally preparing to build a 3rd temple. Now, is this going to happen or not? Regardless, if it happens for us, that's the reason why the Jews want to do that, and the Christians are heavily supporting them. Ironically, they are supporting that because the beliefs of the Christians is when the Messiah, when Jesus comes, what the Jews are going to do, they're just saying, yeah, let's just trigger it. Let it happen. When Jesus comes, he's going to slaughter the Jews. Yes, that do not believe in him. Can you imagine? So they're in both each other's demise. And for us Muslims,
David,
wait a minute. I thought we're all going to believe in the same Messiah. I thought we're all going to fall for the Messiah. I don't know what to do with this dude, man.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Is that what you're waiting for, David? Why didn't you tell us that?
What?
Are you waiting for the Messiah?
Yes. This is why I support the red heifer. Because
are you waiting for the Messiah to come? Because then you will slaughter the Jews.
That's it. That's why I support the red heifer. Because so this is his logic, right? He's just said this. He said this is why Christians are supporting the Jews. Christians are supporting the Jews so that they can do the red heifer sacrifice, tear down the Dome of the Rock, build the 3rd temple, and Jesus can come and kill them all.
Okay.
He just said it.
Ali. All right, Ali Dawa. We will. I'm expecting a book on that written by Ali Dawa.
It's going to be powerful. Let's see.
When that happens, we believe that the Antichrist, Dajjal, it's going to be their Messiah. They're going to both fall for it. As Muslims, alhamdulillah, may Allah protect us from, inshallah. Of course, there'll be some...
He just said it. He said they're both going to fall for it.
How does that even work? How does it even happen, Ali Dawa? That doesn't make any sense.
Think about this. He just said...
fall for the same guy, and this is so dumb, man. Wow.
He just said Christians are supporting this because they want the Messiah to come and slaughter the Jews. But he's saying that both sides are going to agree when the Dajjal comes, and they're going to be, yeah, here's our guy. Well, if he's not doing anything either side agrees with, Ali Dawa. Oh my goodness, this is so dumb. I don't even know what to do with this level of stupidity. And I bet you could go through the comments on this video and not one of his thoughtless, brainless followers will spot any problem with anything he said.
No, they will probably say,
insanely stupid.
This is so powerful, brother.
So powerful. Oh, alhamdulillah. Wow. You're the most brilliant man since the Prophet Muhammad.
You saved my iman.
You saved my iman. My iman is so strong now. It's so strong. It's so strong. My iman could win the Olympics in powerlifting. It's so strong right now.
My iman is stronger than the sexual strength of the Prophet Muhammad.
Yes. My iman has the sexual strength of 30 men.
That might fall for it as well, his fitna, but which shows us what? That we will inshallah wait for the true Messiah which we believed, which is Jesus, peace be on him. He will truly come, not claim to be divine. He will come and rather kill the Dajjal, and inshallah that day will come where trees will be talking to Muslims, inshallah. Yes, that day.
Did you catch what he just did? AP, did you catch that?
Well,
the trees. Listen to what he just did.
Do it. Repeat it.
Is this what they call dog whistling? Like where you say, what is dog whistling? Is that where you say something that other people are going to pick on, but like, because that's what a dog whistle is. A dog hears it, but other people don't hear it.
Yeah, so dog whistling is where you send these subtle messages through common, ideas in order to agitate people toward a certain thing.
All right, so see if this counts.
Not claim to be divine, he will come and rather kill the Dajjal. And inshallah, that day will come where trees will be talking to Muslims. Inshallah. Yes, that day would come.
Did you hear that?
Yes.
Where trees will be talking to Muslims. That's talking about the Messiah is going to come. So that's interesting. So he believes that the Messiah is going to come and then they're going to go on this killing spree.
That's dog whistling right there.
Interesting. Yeah, he does that when he says, and we're proud of that. You know what I'm talking about, right? We're going to be proud of that. He's
And
talking about
considering that he's talking to a community of dogs, it is quite appropriate to use the term dog whistling here. And he is basically telling all the dogs that he shares his beliefs with that the day shall come.
Look, someone said he's dog whistling with his hands. Look at his hands now.
Inshallah, brothers and sisters, that when they would, inshallah, we would be on the side of the true Messiah, Jesus, peace be upon him, and be in his army against the Dajjal and those Zionist Jews, Christians who did not believe in the Messiah. And because of that, and what does Allah say in the Quran? Every one of the people of the book will definitely believe in him before his death, Jesus. And on the day of judgment, Jesus will be a witness against them. Brothers and sisters, we are very, very close to the end of times. Very, very, very close. So
and we know we're that close because we have the greatest scholar of religion of all time, Ali Dawah, telling us. And even though, guys, he hasn't said anything correct in this entire video, you can trust him on this.
Until the end of times. Guys, all I'm going to say is that, inshallah, may Allah bless you guys. Look after yourself, inshallah, and prepare for your day of judgment is the day when you die. Don't wait for that big day of judgment. The Dajjal is on, it seems like, for them doing this, etc., the third temple being built, whatever that, for that matter, inshallah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ruin their plans, but whatever is meant to be is going to happen, inshallah, and the Muslims are going to be victorious, inshallah. It is clear for us. We've had
It's clear for us, clear for the guy who somehow, oh, look, it says cow in the chapter of the cow. Yeah, you see, how could Allah have known this? It's clear for him.
You're right. I'm going through the comment section of that video right now, and nobody spots a single discrepancy. People are thanking him and saying, yeah, this is indeed end times. The Jews. This is now the time to unite, and so on, and we will win. This is the funny thing, right? You go on the religious Jewish side, who, according to the Muslims, are supposed to be the ones who are evil and who are preparing to, for some evil fight. The Jews are just saying, "Oh, we just want to rebuild our stuff, and if this brings about a fight, if it brings about the end, so be it. But we just want to make it happen." And we are not responsible for the ones who attack us. And the Muslims are the ones who are directly naming them and accusing them of sacrificing cows for the coming of the Dajjal, according to the title of Ali Dawah's video. And he's then thereby also sending subtle messages of Muslims fighting and hopefully killing the Jews and gaining victory over them. This is how it goes. This is basically how the whole Israel-Palestine conflict also goes. It is the one side, the Jewish side or the Israeli side, is the one that just says, just let us be. And the other side says, look at this, they're evil, look at this, they're trying to attack us. Meanwhile, dehumanizing them, vilifying them, and plotting to attack them. This is Islam. Islam is the problem. And
weird.
These dogs just don't understand it.
I think if no one else makes a short clip on Ali Dawah dog whistling, I might have to do it.
What the prophecy is coming. It is clear for us. Let them do the oppression. Like Allah says in the Quran, they will cause fitna in the land twice. And twice Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala send their servants that will inshallah deal with the oppressors. Till next time, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
He doesn't even understand how stupid what he just said was. He doesn't get it. It says Allah said in the Quran, the Jews will cause fitna twice. Right. The Quran says that Allah is going to punish the Jews twice for their fitna. You go to old commentaries, they can't figure out what this is talking about. They can't figure out what this is talking about because it's talking about the children of Israel. And you can go to different Muslim commentaries, and because guess what? The Assyrians came, conquered, deported a bunch of Jews. The Babylonians did the same thing. And the Romans did the same thing. That's three. Allah says it was going to happen twice. And now they've got they want it to happen the fourth time. They believe that it's going to happen. They're causing fitna. It's going to happen the fourth time. And so Sheikh Yasser Qadi says that the second punishment, the second fitna, is going to be, that's in the future. It's in the future that they're going to be punished. So what, that would be 4? The Quran says 2. Allah doesn't know the difference between 2 and 4. This is weird. This is wild stuff, man.
I really wonder if Ali Dawa can explain to us what exactly those fitnas are, or that the one fitna is. Can he point at it?
Yeah, I'd like to know. We'd like to know, Ali Dawa. All right. Well, we've got the perspective of. I'd be interested in alternative Jewish perspectives on the red heifer, but we went with an Orthodox Jewish interpretation of it, someone who's actually involved in this, and then we saw a Christian video and Ali Dawa, the champion of Dawa, and one of those things was not like the other. One was exceptionally stupid.
Yeah.
Wow. All right.
I wonder what the dancing Israelis say about this, the heifer.
Mm-hmm. If only Ali Dawa had followed Christianity right from the start, instead of having been deceived by the science of Quran that he now knows is fake. I strongly suspect he'd still be dumb. AP makes the perfect Muslim Jesus voice.
I don't even remember it.
Yeah, I don't remember either.
I have to go back, check it out.
You have to go back and find it, because if you've got the perfect voice, you may need to keep rolling with that one.
Oh, that was when I said that he was going around saying, believe in one God, believe in one God. Mm-hmm. I have to check it out.
May the Lord God of Israel bless and keep you and your family and friends safe, AP and Brother David, especially you, AP. May he provide for you and bring you both peace and guide you against Islam.
Inshallah. Thank you. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Thank you.
Ali Dawa's beard looks puby and his head resembles a toilet brush, and he's proud of that. Pretty rude. Are red cows really just communist cows?
Yeah. Milk cysts.
Milk cysts. Ali Dawa needs to stop lining up his beard. It makes him look even more absurd. Yeah. My fave stream thus far. You guys rock. Alhamdulillah. Yeah, we do make some dope streams.
We do.
Father, I pray over everyone present in this feed on this video. I ask you to build up your children to be moved towards your will, and for those without you to eventually know and love you. AP, how offensive do you find that comment?
It's literally genocide.
Allah so fast, often his leg struggles to keep up.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, when he's going back and forth.
Yeah.
Allah, you were on time, but your legs were 15 minutes late. That's how fast you are. Allah is so small and limited. Yahweh is capable of so much more, including being multi-personal. Why do Muslims put restrictions on God? Yeah, they love to say what God can and can't do.
Allah can't do this. Allah can't do this.
God's too weak to do that. He's too weak.
Allah is too stupid. He can't do this.
He can't even hear good. He needs a miracle ear.
He can't come over somewhere else. No, he can't come to your bedroom. He's up there all the time.
In Judaism, interesting. In Judaism, if the Messiah isn't accepted by every single human being, he's not Messiah. Therefore, the Jewish Messiah can't be the Antichrist. Interesting. You catch that?
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing that's the understanding, is that that would be the Christian understanding too, that when Jesus returns, it's going to be so clear and it's going to be clear and obvious to everyone.
I remember reading something on that. I also talked to some two Orthodox Jews on the channel several months ago. I think when we came back from Israel, before we went, I'm not sure when it was. But the understanding is basically that that any interpretations of what happens after the Messiah comes are of not much concern, because the idea is basically that when the Messiah comes, there will be nobody who will not see and not accept that he is the one, and he will bring peace and all that. Don't want to misrepresent anything here.
Yeah, you better not. You don't want to
Which
be
I
an
always
you don't want to be an Ali Dawa dude.
Yeah.
Shiba Inu. For the children and the blue steer had to step away for a couple of days. Had some tech issues. Top C is back. Love you. Anti in Greek can also mean instead of. Interesting. Anti in Greek can also mean instead of. So the Isa of the Quran is an antichrist instead of Christ. The Torah is closer to henotheism than monotheism. If anyone would like to respond to that, they can. D. Wood, can't explain things when asked. Friends with an atheist. Mike Winger, can always explain anything with a short 4-hour video. Christian, draw your own conclusions. Mike Winger, can always explain anything with a short 4-hour video. Yeah, he can. He's good at that.
Anyway, guys, so before we get into this, let me just talk about back when I was 7, and this is going to take 3-hour introduction before we actually get to the topic.
Surprise, Diaz, not order cows killed. No more, nothing about Dia, Muhammad's boyfriend, ladies and gentlemen, who looked exactly like Jibril. Islam is a religion deserving way more criticism than other religions. That's something that everyone should agree on. Dawah should correct their radicals, jihadis, before criticizing others. That's true as well, especially the people who flip out. They flip out when we criticize Islam, but they're the ones who prop up people like Ali Dawah as their champions. It's like, dudes, clean up your own house, then tell us not to criticize it. So is Islam a Gnostic religion? It seems to me they put emphasis on divine revelation and internal inconsistency is dismissed. I don't know what to call it's just like Muhammad took a bunch of bits and pieces from everything that he had access to and rolled it up into a big ball, and it doesn't fit. I don't know if you can actually call it anything specific. No comment there. Truth Seeker, what do you think about the claim that King James was homosexual and Christ consciousness? I don't think I could conceivably care less what King James was. And yeah, I don't know much about Christ consciousness.
Isn't that a modern new religious idea?
No, I've heard about it. I just have I don't know anything about it. The Christ consciousness movement. Just wanted to say thank you for your service. But we've never been in the military, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Thank you for your service.
Cow tipping is a misdemeanor.
It is.
Did you know cow tipping is a myth?
Who?
Cow tipping.
It is?
You familiar with cow tipping?
Not much.
Yeah, I grew up in West Virginia, so everyone always talked about cow tipping, myself included, where supposedly you find these sleeping cows, and it's like at first when I actually read an article saying that it's a myth, said it's like an urban legend. I was like, what are you talking about? We all know what cow tipping is, man. Everyone's heard about cow tipping. We all heard about people saying they were cow tipping. And it's like, wait a minute. I also told people, I used to say, yeah, I got a 40-yard running start. I shoot them. I hit them so hard, blood will shoot out of their butt. Right. And none of it was true. Right. But people would say these things. Apparently, it's just a total myth. They were actually pointing out, well, what started it was the guys were saying in the article, they were saying, in the age of social media, if people were really cow tipping, don't you think you'd find videos of cow tipping? Like, wouldn't that be something that you would record, tipping over a cow and laughing? And yet they said we couldn't find one video anywhere of someone doing cow tipping. Isn't that strange? Then they started investigating like the physics of it, like trying to push a cow over and whether a cow is going to wake up and all these things. And they concluded that it's a myth in the absence of actual good evidence to the contrary, which they couldn't find.
This is so funny. I just looked it up, and it's like it's an urban legend, and a stereotype that people who live in places where there is not much to do are so bored that they do this activity, which doesn't exist.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Muhammad was covered in goop. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Yeah, he definitely was.
Yeah.
I want to make a tweet probably tonight. Real men aren't covered in semen, and then I'll put the hadith there. Or real men don't have child brides scraping off the semen covering their garments, and then a hadith.
Yeah. Real men are seamen. They're not covered with semen.
Imagine listening to Ali Dawah at 2 times speed. That would be funny.
Should try.
Hey, can you both do a cool live stream comparing the teachings of Krishna?
We always make cool live streams. What are you talking about?
And the words of Christ in the Bible. You always talk about Christianity and Islam, but never Christianity and Dharma. Well, that's because we study one and not the other.
Who cares about Dharma?
Yes, someone who, see, people, people tend to focus on what they interact with. So who do we interact with here in the West? Who do Christians interact with most in the West? Well, atheists and Muslims, not so much with Hindus, but Christians in India interact with Hindus a lot. And so they'd probably be better at making those comparisons.
Yes.
When I see this guy, the word that comes to my mind is Islamo nerd. Who? Ali Dawah?
Which guy?
When you said nerd, I was thinking of Mike Winger. It'd be like Ali Dawah is the Mike Winger of Islam.
But then Islamo nerd could be David Wood.
No, it doesn't make sense. No one would dare call me a nerd for fear of getting throttlings to their ears and face.
That is true.
Jews and Christian can believe without Islam, but Islam cannot exist without Christianity or Judaism.
That's a funny.
Islam can't even define itself without reference to Jews and Christians. John says, do you think that the Muslims will allow the temple to be built so that the end could come? That is an issue of the practicality, of the possibility. I don't know. I think Israel is powerful enough to do it.
So from how I understand and know the Muslim culture and way of thinking, they would want to prevent any such thing at all costs, while also thinking, oh boy, yeah, it is going to happen, and then we will kill them, but first we have to prevent it. That would be their way of thinking.
It would be very, very deep thinking. The Muzzy immigrants are not responsible for hundreds of civilian deaths by their radicals. It is difficult for me to take them seriously when they talk about Islamophobia or their rights. Yeah. My view is, look, if you guys are able to deal with the elements in your community that want to kill and slaughter us, then you deal with it. If you can't, then do not complain about me criticizing. Right? Don't complain. If you're saying, hey, we can't deal with these guys that want to slaughter you, and say, okay, I'll deal with them, but the way I'm going to deal with them is knocking out the foundations of their belief, which includes Muhammad. You say, no, don't do that. That'll make you an Islamophobe. Okay, you figure out how to deal with them, or I will. Take your pick. Who wins in a fight, Mormon Jesus or Muslim Jesus? Muslim Jesus. That would be
Mormon Jesus even.
That would be. See, I don't know enough about Mormonism to talk about it off the top of my head, but that would be, guys, that would be an interesting video title: Muslim Jesus versus Mormon Jesus, and have like kind of a picture of them from their respective. Do you think
the Mormonic Jesus?
Do you think Ummi in the Quran? So that's Ummi. That's
ignorant, unlettered.
Yeah, that's
illiterate.
That's Ummi. That's in Surah 7, verse 157. Do you think Ummi in the Quran could be better translated as non-Judeo-Christian instead of illiterate, analogous to Gentiles, meaning the non-Jewish nations or ummas? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I've seen the word, translated as unlettered or uneducated or something like that, or illiterate. But yeah, I don't know if it can have. I don't know what the other meanings would be.
There is a thing. It is used in a context in the Quran to refer to people also who are not familiar with the scripture, or who don't know anything about the book, about the scripture. And when it says scripture, what it refers to is basically the Bible, the scripture that scriptures that Christians and Jews read. And then I made a video on that. I actually made a video about 10 things to know about Muhammad, and one of those things was the whole illiterate issue, and that there is actually some disagreement, if you go deeply into it, whether Muhammad was indeed illiterate, or whether the Quran was just trying to say that he himself personally had no idea about Abrahamic, biblical knowledge, but was then inspired by Allah. That is a point that can be made.
Okay. That is what we call Muslims in Bahrat. Muslims, like Dave once accidentally called them in another stream of both yours. I don't remember that. I don't recall that. Show us the video clip, or it didn't happen. Muhammad, the child toucher prophet, peace be upon him. If you're going to walk on thin ice, you might as well dance. Yes, that is one of 2 Wood family mottos. If you're going to walk on thin ice, you might as well dance. The other?
I haven't heard David Wood misspeak ever, and I don't think it's possible, actually.
Yeah. So if you're going to walk on thin ice, these are words to live by. These have been Wood family mottos for a long time, but everyone can live by this advice. One is, if you're going to walk on thin ice, you might as well dance. The other is, it ain't a crime if you don't get caught.
I don't want to dance.
Heifers used on the tools to construct the third temple, leading to destruction of the Dome of the Rock. Could 4 horsemen represent the Islamic nation's flag? Could the 4 horsemen represent the Islamic nation's flag? Yeah, I don't know about that. Hey, wait a minute. Jesus versus Mormon. Oh, Islamic Jesus versus Mormon Jesus. Which is more believable? Is that along the same lines as before?
I guess so.
The young girl marrying this is supposed to be like Ric Flair or The Rock. They would do these little the young girl marrying, camel fluids drinking, black stone kissing, goop covered prophet was clearly sent by God, obviously. And I had Mike Winger on a couple of days ago. My husband said, "Is that the Christian who tried to kill his dad?" Me, no, that's David Wood. Husband, they could be twins. True story. Ugh. Well, your husband needs to get his eyes checked. Maybe he needs some glasses like Mike Winger. Mike Winger's a dork. Finish Seeking Allah, Finding Jesus. Yeah, good book. Good book. Everyone should get that. And wait, is this? You need to watch a Latter-day Regift by Lutheran Satire. Do a reaction video to it. Yeah, we just watched some of that on Inspiring Philosophy's live stream. People brought it up, and we checked out some of it. Yeah, that was AP. You should check that out. It's a Latter-day Regift, and it's by Satan wanting some new religion that won't be like the old one or something like that. He's giving him Mormonism, but it keeps saying the joke is, wait a minute, this sounds like exactly the same religion from before.
Oh, that's funny.
It's just not as common to pick on Mormons because they're way nicer. Yeah. Jesus Loves You, AP. What do you think about that?
That's based.
And finally, I can show y'all the clip, but first, ex-Muslims, Jews, and Christians should team up because we all face the same ethnic threat. Yeah. Ex-Muslims, Jews, Christians, Hindus, everyone should all be on the same page with respect to Islam.
I don't face an ethnic threat.
You do. They're trying to wipe out your ex-Muslim ethnicity.
Well, I am a Jew now.
Oh, that's cool.
So that's that.
You heard it here, folks. AP has converted to Judaism. The new Zohan. All right, everyone. Well, glad we got through the red heifer controversy. I'm thinking, see, here's the thing. Here's the thing, AP. When I was looking for what people were saying about this, and deciding what to share, it was last month, there were tons of Muslims saying that the Jews are going to sacrifice the red heifer on March 29th. March 29th. That did not happen. So I don't know where they were getting this information. Then there are all these people claiming they're doing it on April 8th to coincide with the eclipse. And it's like, wait a minute, it's not even an eclipse over there. It's an eclipse over here. So I don't know what the purpose is. And they're connecting it to the end of Ramadan. So, how could this be? You got an eclipse at the end of Ramadan and the sacrifice of the red heifer. Oh my goodness, this is signs. These are signs of the end times. So anyway, the point is, this may be relevant later on this month, because I don't know what to trust as far as when people are actually going to sacrifice the red heifer. So I don't know when that is actually going to happen. But it might blow up again as an issue once the sacrifice has occurred. So this might be something where we revisit the issue here in the very near future, just so everyone knows.
Yeah.
All right. And from Immortal here, Ali Double Voice. Between 300 million innocent cows and one thick Palestinian goat hub goat.
Man, oh man, oh man.
Oh no, that's the Subhanahu wa ta'ala. Subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'll choose the goat hub goat, yeah. That's good.
I'm not talking about them heifers.
Yeah, we don't need them heifers. Oh boy. All right. You know what we're talking about tomorrow?
Tomorrow. We might be talking about one of a few things. So one of those is we're going to talk about another red heifer by the name of Muhammad Hijab, and his message to the Jews.
His message to Jews. Ooh, yes. That'll be a good one. Hey, but AP, here's a simple request. If we're going to go through Muhammad Hijab's message to Jews live tomorrow, yes, can we, since there will be new people, can we sort of recap some highlights from Muhammad Hijab's Dawah career?
Yes, we can.
All right. Well, that's good. So you know what to expect tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. Be there. And finally caught my favorite Christians live on the holy channel of St. David of the Wood again after a long time. Also, David, you act and look like Mike Winger's older brother. Now, that's actually, yeah, if you think of him as like a nerdy younger brother who always gets bullied by his older brother, you can think of it like that. Guy who keeps him in check. Yeah, you can think of me like that. But it doesn't change the fact that he is the single worst person in the world. Worse than Ali Dawah. All right, everyone.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone. Shalom and Toda Rabbah and all that.
Yeah.
And also Shabbat Shalom.
Yeah, and if there's any awesome new information about the red heifer stuff that could lead to Third Temple or something like that, let us know, because that is stuff that can impact us all. All right, everyone, catch you later, and we'll see you tomorrow on AP's channel.
Inshallah. Am Israel Chai.